morning, my artsy friends. Happy Monday morning. How is everyone doing? I apologize that I am running just a few minutes late, but we are here. Give me just a second. I'm going to get the chat pulled up in the background so that I can see. In the meantime, if you are here, please go ahead and jump in the comment section and let me know if you can both hear and see. Uh, Hopefully, everyone has had a wonderful weekend and has been doing well. I know that there's been a lot going on in our regular world around us, but hopefully, you are allowing yourself some grace, some rest, and some mental downtime. Good morning, Nicole. Good morning, Kiana. It is okay. You can hear and see. That is wonderful. Thank you, ladies, so much. It's freezing there. It's cold here too. I love it. 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 It's been cool here for a couple of days. 19 degrees. Oh, wonderful. Oh, so much better than 98 degrees. So much. I love that. I'm sure there's some people who don't love it, but I absolutely adore that. Hold on. My camera seems to be a little crooked. Nicole, you hate it. Ah, okay, I don't know. It seems to be a little dark. Is it just me, or does the video seem a little dark? It could just be on my end, maybe. I don't know. We're gonna get started in just a few seconds. Now I'm gonna wipe the camera, so you may see a blur for a second. I just don't understand why it's so dark. It hurts, Nicole. I'm sorry. I guess it's because I'm a cold baby and I grew up in the cold. It doesn't hurt me at all. I mean, I just love to feel it, especially due to the fact of living, since I've been in Texas, it's just hot all of the time. So it is so great to have a cold day. I don't know. Considering the way the weather has progressively started to get colder each year here in Texas, since I've been here, and I've been here since 2020, I am. I was making a comment to my friend the other day. It looks like moving forward, Texas is going to start having a true winter because there was an entire 2, 3 snow days with sticking snow and me looking out the window watching kids slide down the hills and on sleds, and it was an amazing sight to see here in such a hot southern state. Made it feel like home just a little bit. Hey Ruby, good morning JC, welcome in friends. Below zero, wow. Canceling Thai food with friend later. And see, I'll be all out trying to go get that. And see, I would be your friend calling you, encouraging you. No, don't cancel. Let's go. That would be me. Do you want me to pick up the Thai and bring it to you? I don't mind. Keanu, you say you love it as long as you're inside. Yeah, I've come to realize that most people who have spent most of their lives um, below the Bible Belt, honestly, are used to really, really warm weather for most of the year, so they tend not to like cold a lot at all. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. You guys have to look over my little paper. We had a Patreon class last night, which I'll eventually get around to showing you what we did on Patreon last night. Um, but let me go ahead and kick this off for video editing purposes, so that future Ken can edit this, and then we are going to jump right into getting started. So, good morning, my artsy friends. I am so glad to have you back here with me. My name is Ken Johnson. I am your thrifty apprentice, and today's live is going to be a tour of all of the sketchbooks that I have here in the studio. Now, as most of you know by this point, I am in the process of packing. excuse me, so that I can move both my home and my studio. And I felt like this was the perfect time to do this live, especially since I would have all of the art supplies packed up and kind of out of the way. And I would have access to all of the sketchbooks. And then once I'm done with this live, I can just pack them directly into boxes. Um, for those who are wondering, the packing is going pretty well. We still have another few days of packing. Then there's all of the moving, rental, and getting things moved, and all of those good things. So I did announce over the last 2 weeks that there will be a bit of a vacation taken from YouTube. Now that's not going to be from all platforms. Patreon will still operate as normal without any skips and any beats. Now I might have to make some alterations to maybe say like the Monday Night Live. I might have to put up a pre-recorded video. Now I don't know that for certain just yet, so don't take that to the bank. It's just really going to depend on where I am at the time, because this next 2 weeks is a very vital moment for me in trying to get the personal life together so that we can continue to do these things. I was talking to a friend, and the friend was making a lot of suggestions about what they thought I should do in order to kind of, you know, keep the channel going over the next 2 weeks. And I replied to him saying, well, I don't think my audience is so fickle that hearing the fact that I need to take a vacation in order to get my personal life in order so that we can continue to do the wonderful things that we do is going to be, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. People go on vacation. It happens. Everyone deserves a little bit of downtime. And it's not that I'm going to even have downtime. I'm still going to be working my 40-hour week job while trying to move both a home and a studio. So I'm not going to just be laying on the beach sipping my ties, although I wish that's what I was doing. No doubt about it. Good morning, Corinthians. Um, so you guys are just gonna have to bear with me. Now, as far as YouTube is concerned, over the next 2 weeks, because the vacation starts the day after this live. So up into the first week of February, what I'm going to try to do, I'm not making any promises, but what I'm going to try to do is pull pre-existing videos from the channel and kind of edit them down into long form kind of paint-alongs, sort of like I did with the Derwent video that came out on yesterday, and like I did maybe a video or two back where we had all of the watercolor paintings, and it was like 2.5+ hours of watercolor painting. I may do a video like that for, say, gouache. I may do a video like that for colored pencils or alcohol markers, or maybe even another one using water soluble products that have different clips in it other than the ones that I've already premiered on the channel over the last 2.5 weeks. So I do have some ideas to try to upload in YouTube over the next 2 weeks. But I do want to put the disclaimer out there that if I don't get the chance to do it, you guys know exactly why at this point. And we will be back in full swing the first week of February, as long as everything stays the same and nothing changes. So just kind of want to throw that out there. All right, so today we are looking at sketchbooks of all different sorts and types. I did try to organize this in some type of rational order. Um, I have a lot of, I did not even realize how many sketchbooks I had until I started packing and, kind of putting together everything I needed for this video. So we're going to jump right in. And first things first, I'm going to show you some new products that came into the studio. Now, I will reiterate, there won't be anything kind of new being unboxed and tested until the first week of February, but I just want to show you some things that have been added to the list of upcoming products that you guys are going to see once we get back into the full swing of things. The first one is something that we've been talking about on the YouTube Live for a couple of lives now. They've been mentioned a few times, and this is the Mamiri Blue 6 tube 12 milliliter set. Now this one, I do believe that this is the introductory set. No, this is the Jean Dixon. Okay, so this is an influencer, a set, so that influencer collaborated with Mamiri Blue in order to release this set, and it has Um, a pretty nice color range in it. It does have quinacridone violet, reddish, turquoise green, primary magenta, yellow ochre, yellow and orange lakes. So it's gonna be interesting to see. I do love the fact that I love tube sets, especially from professional paint makers, where you get a nice healthy amount of paint in each tube. Now I don't have anything against 5 milliliter tubes, but if I can find sets that have bigger amounts of paints in the tubes, I always try to go for that. Now everything that I'm going to show you has been sponsored to the um, channel Into Defiant Arts by the DECA program, which you guys hear me mention on a very regular basis. So I'm really excited to break into these. I know Tisa, a really close friend of mine and one of the regulars you guys see here on the channel, has been talking about how much she loved these paints for a minute. So I'm really excited to finally get around to trying them. So we will get a chance to get those cracked open and tested. But of course, they'll be in line behind some of the other products that we've already seen that you guys know at this point I have not had a chance to get around to. The next item that came in was this Crocus book. Very beautiful illustration on the front and the back of the book. I do believe that this is it's drawing paper. It's 60 grams, 70 sheets. This is a Holbein sketch pad here, Holbein Art Materials. So of course, the product is made in Japan. Now the paper is super thin, you know. So I think this is going to be really cool for like graphite, charcoal, sketching projects. It may be good for color pencil projects. I would not try it. Just looking from how thin it is. It's not anything that I would try anything water soluble on, but mostly dry medias. Maybe oil pastels, not sure. It seems really slick, so it may not grab as much pigment as we're used to from the other papers we use pastels on. And I think it's too thin for alcohol markers as well. Although I haven't tried it, so I don't really know that. But for sure, just from first glance, I'm pretty sure that it'll be good for sketching and possibly even color pencils. So we will be giving this a try in the near future. Keeping in mind, I'm going to keep reiterating because I don't want you guys to forget. Everything will go back into full swing the first week of February. Now, this next item is one that I have been craving like sweets for quite a while. I was telling Patreon last night, it's been in and out of my cart on Amazon. And then I've kind of had an internal debate about whether ordering it off Amazon or buying it in the store. Now, this is a Creative Mark product. It is a house brand of Jerry's Autorama, so it's exclusively sold by Jerry's, either in store on Jerry's website or the Jerry's storefront from Amazon. Now, it's my understanding that the set is extremely affordable on Amazon, based on the information that was given to me by the person that donated. With that said, I personally have been inside Jerry's store to see this product, and they are honestly in the particular store that I was in trying to charge almost $30 for this set when I was informed that it's under $15 on Amazon. So you have that information, take it or leave it. Now, I'm not sure how much it is on Jerry's site, but based on what I know from Amazon prices compared to in-store prices, I would definitely suggest it from Amazon if it's something that ever suited your fancy. But you guys know that I am crazy about like novelty type travel watercolor and gouache palettes. And this one just sits at the top of the list for me. I think it's going to be so cute to use. So what this is basically is a watch travel palette system. It comes with two bands to attach to your wrist like a watch. There is a water-soluble brush inside. And then there's also the actual palette which you attach to the top of the band and you carry it on your wrist just like a watch, and that's how you would paint doing your plain air painting or your outside painting, your on-the-go painting. Now the palette itself have these, these are not quarter pans. If I had to say, the depth of that pan is probably about a 1/16 of an inch, and I'm just kind of estimating here. And without a doubt, just from looking at it, I can tell you right off that more than likely this is a Superior white label because it is the exact same paint type, feel, and look as, say, like our fan palettes, the foldable palettes, all of them with the flat sort of paint chips that we've seen branded by many companies, but we are aware are made by Superior, and then other companies put their labels on it. So it folds out like so. There's a little mixing area here, and then there's also two sponges inserted just for cleaning your brush on the go. And I think it is so cute and adorable. Look at that. Now, I happen to like Superior paint, so more than likely I'm going to use these up. But I was thinking that as they're used up, you could always refill them with whatever paint type you want, including a professional paint if you chose to. And another cute thing is that the set comes with 6 refills, I guess, of what they think are the colors that would be used the most from the set. Um, so you're gonna get a warm and a cool yellow in there. There's a red, a convenient green, and it looks like a warm and a cool blue for the replacements. Now, there is no information, of course. This is Superior, so it is what it is. But Creative Mark decided not to include any type of artist information with it, although I know Superior does provide the artist information for their paints. So I'm assuming Creative Mark could have easily gotten their hands on it if they chose to. But nonetheless, I'm really excited about this, and I can't wait to try it out. It actually may skip up in line before products that should have been reviewed before it, simply because of how excited I am to use it. So you guys can definitely stay tuned for that. And last but not least, there is this a beautiful number 8 Petal Princeton Velvet Touch brush. It is an absolutely gorgeous specimen that's golden tackline, and the brush is shaped to help it make it easier. Just by looking at it, you can tell that that's shaped to make it easier to do leaves, flower petals. So I'm feeling like this is going to be an absolutely amazing brush for doing my floral work with. So I can't wait to give this a try. If we were painting today, I would watch the sizing out of it and use it. But today's video is going to take a bit of a different direction. But I'm really excited about that. So we can look forward to all of those products coming up sometime in 2025. I'm not going to make any promises as to when, but they are products that you will see coming up this year for testing and reviewing. Now, what I want to do at this point is jump into the comments section, check it out, see what you guys are talking about, chit chat with you for a minute, and then we're jumping right back in. All right, let's see. Ooh, doo, doo, doo. Even if you were on a beach, everyone deserves a vacation and or a break. Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate that. You have the introductory set of Mary Blue. How you like them? I think I've heard you tell me you like them before. Hello, just a cat who can type. Can we call you Cat? Hi, Cat. How are you? Welcome into the live. Post the link where to get the book. I will do my best. I'm going to have to reach out to the sponsors that sent it. It's a Holbein product, so I'll do some research. I sure will. I'll do some research and see if I can't go back and post a link in the video description or in the comment. Well, if I put it in the comment section, YouTube more than likely is going to remove it. So I'll see if I can post a link for it in the video description once this live is over. Just give me a few minutes once we end the live, and then I'll see if I can get it up, find it for you and get it up. Thin Japanese paper can be really cool. I'm gonna try it out. I'm not gonna assume because I said earlier that I don't think water soluble products will work on it. But as I've been thinking in the back of my head after saying that, that's kind of what Ganzai paints are designed for. So I'll try Ganzai paints on it to see how they work on that particular type paper as well. Writing with fountain pens is one of my favorites. I've never heard of that brand. Pickup? I've never heard of that. I'll have to look it up. But I don't really, I've kind of stuck to the same type of drawing papers my entire artistic career so far. My favorite drawing paper up until this point has been the Canson, the regular Canson Croquis book. I think I have it out. I think we're gonna run across it in a second. But so let's go ahead and jump in. We're gonna start off with my friends. Um, Pre-made sketchbooks, or not pre-made, I'm sorry, self-made sketchbooks. So everything that I'm about to go through is going to be something that I've made here in studio, or that may have been sent to me by a wonderful viewer who was participating in one of the DIY videos, or just wanted to make something and send it to the studio for use. Now, they all have different purposes. I don't know why I'm having a scratchy throat. Excuse me one second. Excuse me, that just came up all of a sudden. So let's start here. I'm just gonna grab stuff and start showing it to you. Now, all three of these are the same. So my plan is to kind of walk you through everything that I've done really quickly and tell you about the papers that's included inside each one, in case you're interested in the actual paper yourself, because of course you can't buy any of the sketchbooks we're about to go through because they're all self-made. However, pretty much every single one of these I'm going to show you has a tutorial on the channel under the DIY playlist. So if you just hit the playlist tab on the home page, go down to the DIY playlist, you're going to find all of the sketchbook, all of the junk journaling, all of the card making videos, all of the self travel palettes. Anything that was do-it-yourself is going to be there. So that's where you're going to find 98% of all the crafting videos, just in case you've ever wondered. But these sketchbooks are actually made from envelopes. Oh, is this a sketchbook? Yeah, I had to make sure. Because some of them are art books. And when I say art books, you may not know what that is, but it's a combination of water-soluble papers, pastel papers, and papers meant for sketching and color pencils, all bound into one handmade book. And then, of course, you guys know me. I put all these little doodads in and just got all of the little extra things, like these little envelopes to hold reference photos, and little pockets. Like here at the front of the envelope, I got some inspirational cards in there. And then I even have some pre-printed, like, things that I can color. Like if I'm out and about, I just want to grab some colored pencils and do some coloring. So that was kind of the idea behind a lot of these little books. And pretty much all three of them are the same. They have their own, they have their own little, I haven't put one in there yet. So they have all of these little, reference cards that you can take notes on it. And some of them are mixtures between sketchbooks and junk journals. So if you know what a junk journal is, you'll kind of understand some of the stuff that you see. This particular one has a book board in it that is meant for inserting behind your page. So that you'll have something sturdy to write on, sturdy to draw on. This particular one is a sketchbook. This is bound with Soho Urban sketch paper. So it just depends on what I was making the actual sketchbook for. This particular one is bound with mixed media and watercolor paper. So this one is actually a water soluble sketchbook. And it still has some of the same little doodads and kind of junk journal inserts that you saw. Now let's talk about it. This particular paper that's bound inside this one, if I'm not mistaken, it's actually Canson XL 140-pound cold pressed acid free paper. Not one of my favorite papers in the world, but it's a pretty decent workhorse to get a lot of different stuff done. It's not a terrible paper at all. It's very affordable, very economical. Most of us are already familiar with the Canson XL brand, so I really don't have to talk too much about it. I think pretty much every artist at some point has probably tried that. Now, the sketch paper that's inside this one, as I said earlier, is the Soho Urban Artist sketch paper, another one of Jerry's Autorama's house brands. This sketch paper I like. I've started to find that a lot of the Soho products I think are actually really decent. I'm not sure which manufacturer, excuse me, that they're working with in order to produce those papers, but the Soho brand itself from Jerry's is actually pretty decent. And I'll be honest, I can't remember all of the mixture of paper inside here. I do know that the pastel paper that's in this one is Strathmore 400 series paper. And you guys heard me talk about liking Strathmore before. Their pastel papers are actually their 400 series pastel paper. It's actually pretty decent. It's thin, and I have found that it works really well with oil pastels and pastel pencils. But I've never used like regular chalk pastels on that paper because I don't tend to use that product much. So let's move on. Some of these are just junk journals, so I'm probably going to blow through those. Excuse me, and not show them because they are junk journals. Here are some mini sketchbooks that were made. This is this one is from a long time ago. Long time ago. It's actually covered with paper, but basically, it was a mini travel sketchbook. Excuse me, that I made in order to do some really cute little illustrations in on the go, something quick, nothing too serious. It was an accordion style book, as you can see. Back when I first started trying to make them, before I was really aware of what I needed to be doing. But it works pretty well. The paper that this one is bound with is oh, what is this? It's been so long ago. This may be Strathmore 300 series paper, the one in the yellow covering. I wanna, or maybe it's a mixed media paper because the tooth on it is not as, this may be Universal Mixed Media paper, another creative mark product from Jerry's. But I'm not exactly sure. Now, if this is a universal mixed media paper, that's one of the workhorses. That paper is absolutely amazing for a lot of different things, and we're going to see a lot of sketchbooks come up that I've made that has that paper in it, and I'll be able to kind of show you a little bit further what I mean. Now, here is another accordion style sketchbook that was done on the channel kind of recently, maybe like in the last what, year and a half maybe. And it was done kind of junk journal style as well. It's got the cute little matchbook sketch pad, so you can do like a little mini drawing if that's what you really wanted to do, or jot down a note or two. I mean, it was just something fun and whimsical to throw in there. And I've done a few projects in all of these. This is done with that universal mixed media paper that I was just talking about. And as you can see, you can get some really nice illustrations on there. Um, and the paper is only 90 pounds, but it handles water really well. I can't remember what brand of paints this was done with. It may have been De La Roni Aquafine 1123. It may have been De La Roni. But really cute paper, I think, overall for both water soluble products, color pencils. I've used alcohol markers on it. I've used oil pastels on it. Now, it doesn't work as well. I've used gouache on it. It doesn't work as well with water soluble, but it works with water soluble. It does. As you can see, and it holds the saturation pretty well. So that universal mixed media paper is still something that's always suggested when somebody asks me about a good mixed media paper. Now here is one that was made even more recently. Can't remember when it was, but it's a 3-hole pamphlet stitch little sketchbook. I think we were making like a DIY travel palette or something, and this is when this one was done. This particular one has Artwell 100% cotton, 140-pound watercolor paper in it. Now, you guys heard me say this a million times before. I'm a huge fan of Artwell products, and their paper is no exception. Now, I do not know if they produce a Wood Pulp student grade version of their paper. I've only seen the 100% cotton. Now, is it the best 100% cotton paper I've ever used? Absolutely not. Is it better than any Wood Pulp paper I've used? Absolutely. So it's definitely something I suggest you give a look-see. Artwell normally sells their 100% watercolor paper in pads and packs of 2, and they're 9 by 12. So you actually get a lot of paper for what you pay for, and it's a really good paper. And it's one that I would definitely suggest for beginners. Simply, and so getting a really good paper is a great idea for a beginner. Regardless of the quality of the actual paints or the actual product or medium you may be using, the paper can kind of make or break it. And I think with the affordability of a lot of the 100% cotton papers that are on the market now, it would definitely be my suggestion that anybody that's a novice or a beginner to watercolor, or even someone that's trying to upgrade their paper stash, check out a 100% cotton paper, because there are plenty of companies nowadays that are out there releasing this paper, and it's not going to cost you an arm, a leg, a tooth, and a toe in order, to get a good paper. You don't have to just buy Arches anymore, my friends. You don't. So that's those three. Like I said, this is in no particular order. I'm just grabbing sketchbooks and we are looking at them. Some of them I'm kind of throwing to the side because, again, they're more junk journal than sketchbook. Now here is a different version of that envelope journal that I showed you guys earlier. This one actually has a piece of my artwork as the cover for it, which was digitally scanned and then, printed out on photo paper, and it was used as ephemera. This is back when I first started trying to do product design, and I was I was such a novice. Nothing like what we have today, but yeah, there it is. Now this one actually I took a little bit further. So other than just binding uh, sketchbook and watercolor paper on the inside, I actually glued down these panels of watercolor paper and mixed media paper on each part, so that no matter how I turn and where I turn, I would have something to actually do a water soluble painting on. And it still has all the little extra doodads in it that all the rest of them did, like say maybe some reference photo cards in there. And you can even flip those reference photo cards over on the back and draw or paint on those, because they've been backed with water soluble mixed media paper. That just happens to be an extra piece to paint on. And then there's these little books that have inside the pockets of the envelopes that have sketch paper, so that you can kind of take out your little book, sketch your idea without having to put it onto your water soluble paper, and then just kind of transfer it over. So there was a point in time when I was making these on a very regular basis, like every single week. I was trying to come up with a different version of some type of custom sketchbook until I got around to what you see me making and releasing and posting on the website nowadays. I do not believe that there are any custom sketchbooks up on Defiant Arts at the moment, and I really need to change that, because I have quite a few books that I've made that are for sale that just haven't made it to the site yet. Let's see. You guys remember the Advent Calendar Journal, which is basically a book of envelopes that you can store a bunch of different things in. This was the journal that was made for 2024 Advent Calendar for the Christmas holiday. We've already opened it and played around with it, and it's going to be repurposed for some other things. Let's see. That's a junk journal, so we won't cover that one. This one, now this is a junk journal, and it's bound with papers to help. It's basically just a sketch on. You can't use water soluble papers in it. I was having so much fun when I made this, and it was just meant for something to be for me, really cute. I don't remember if I put up a video on how I made this, but it works really well, especially in the junk journal aspect. But basically, it's an accordion style journal. All of the papers on the inside of it are sketch papers for you to draw in or use colored pencils on. And that paper has actually been dyed with watercolor paints and then stagnated throughout this book that I made. It has envelopes in it for like storing reference photos. And then even inside the bigger sketchbook, there's an additional sketchbook. And you guys know I love to do that. And this one is bound with that universal mixed media paper, so you can do both water soluble and dry projects on it. And a lot of the kind of DIY stuff hopefully will give you some ideas for sketchbooks that you may want to make. Inside each one, I put like these bookmarks, and that's actually a book page which has artwork that I I did. You guys remember that? You may remember this if you follow me on Palm Street, then you know that you've seen this original painting inside the Palm Street shop for purchase. Um, so here it was just digitally scanned in and then printed onto like a book page, laminated, and there you have a really cute bookmark. So you can use your own artwork for many, many different things. Here's another one at the front. Um, and I had so much, I have fallen off dramatically from making stuff like this, but I used to have so much fun doing it. And this looks like, yeah, it even has a pocket that's tucked inside that page that has mixed media paper inserted inside it for you to draw and sketch on. And even in the pockets that are inserted throughout the book, you're going to just find sheets of mixed media paper that are in different sizes that you can pull out and do different projects on. And all of these were ideas that I was working on for the type of sketchbook I eventually wanted to commercially design and release. But I haven't tried anything of this aspect in a while. And oh yeah, that now this book board, man, that that is actually dried rose petals. That shows you this is so old, friends. This is so old. But yeah, anyway. And then it was decorated with stuff like this, which is a picture that I took at the Botanical Gardens here in Dallas. So I don't know, just a couple of different ideas to show you some different ways you can decide to kind of design and make your own sketchbooks and have some fun doing it. Be different, think outside the box, do not fit into the norm. You know, all of the normal stuff that I say. All right, let's move it. Let's keep it moving. So we have this one and we have this one that are in arm's reach. So I'm gonna have to get up to go get anything else because they're on the other side. So let's just look at these real quick. Now, this one is more recent. This is bound with Fabriana Studio 140-pound cold press paper, which has a 25% cotton rag content to it. And it's funny because we were talking about this particular paper in Patreon last night. It's not the worst paper in the world. It's not the best paper in the world, but this is the new ways I learned to make my accordion style books. And as you can see, they are much better than the ones I was making earlier in my career. They are actual accordion books. Once I finally got it figured out right. And this particular one I've been using solely for like dessert illustrations, and it give you a general idea of how water soluble products will hold up to the Fabriana Studio paper. Like I said, it's not a bad paper at all. It's actually a really decent paper. It holds color relatively well. There's not a huge shift when you're using products on it. Now, I've painted with both professional. Let me see. Have they all been student grade? Okay, no. See, like this was done with Shinhan PWC. So that's a professional. I'm pretty sure that was done with Daler-Rowney Aquafine, and so was this one. This one was done with Artwell, the watercolor tubes, not the half pans. This was done with watercolor pencils. I want to say it was when we were testing those Giorgione watercolor pencils, which was a really great set of pencils, friends, for the price. And this one was done with Christy Rice's Art for Joy's Sake watercolor palette. I don't think there's anything on the back. So still got plenty of this sketchbook to do. So it's gonna be my mission during 2025 to like really start painting and trying to use up as much paper as I can. This particular sketchbook is a tab bound sketchbook, basically meaning that it's bound with pattern stitching through each individual section, and then each individual section is put together with a tab. It's called tab binding. So each one of these is actually a greeting card that has been turned into a sketchbook and has its own section of 100% cotton watercolor paper in it. I want to say this is Artwell as well, but I might be mistaken. It may be another brand, but I think it's Artwell. And so this particular one has three literally individual sections of sketchbooks put together, mini sketchbooks put together. And as you can see, I put these little labels on the front so that I can label what each section is. Like in the first section, maybe I'll do water soluble painting. In the second section, you could do sketching or dry media. And then, of course, there's the third section, which you can do whatever you want. Mind you, all of the paper inside each one is water soluble. So, like, I don't know, watercolor paints in one section, gouache in another one, maybe water soluble inks in another one. But the whole idea or concept behind this one was to give you mini journals that are basically bound together so that you can use a different medium in each mini journal. That was kind of the idea behind that one. All right, I'm gonna check the comment section real quick. We'll take little comment section breaks in between as we go along, so I can see what you guys are saying. These spiral-bound Croquis sketchbooks contain 70 sheets of 60 GSM, 100% pulp paper, ideal for sketching or drawing with pencils, pens, coloring pencils, and pastels. I kind of figured as much. Yeah. Part of a description of Holbein cat sketchbook I found. Yeah, Nicole, I kind of figured that it was probably going to be best for drawing dry mediums. Thank you. Yes, Nicole, thank you so much for posting it. Let's see. Tisa says she loves those all. Thank you. A link to the cat book. Okay, I'm glad you were able to find a link to the cat book. Cat. Let's see. This is great for the theme you made. A natural journal, pockets for pressing flowers, sections to write details. Love it. Which one? Oh, I'm assuming that you're talking about the Cascade journal. I'd buy that off you if I didn't already have a natural journal and junk journal. Yeah, a nature journal and junk journal. Yeah, T says, you know better than anybody. I have so many of them. And so a lot of these things that I'm showing you have never had any of the sketch paper in them used. They are books that I designed to sell, and then they went up on my Etsy shop. And then either they didn't sell, so I just pulled them down to use them for giveaways, or as most of you know, I have recently pulled everything off of my Etsy shop. I have quite a few quorums with Etsy that kind of encouraged me to go ahead and make sure that I moved everything that was on Etsy over to my own website, which I do show you guys all the time. I do not feel bad about showing you guys my own website. I had somebody ask me that one time, ask me like, did I feel funny? Absolutely not. I watch other artists and influence show the things that they are proud of, that they've collaborated, made, and done all the time. And a lot of the things I show, I really have a connection to because I actually make a lot of it by hand. So this is the Defiant Art website. We've discussed it before that the domain name is a little off. I'm still not sure how that happens. I still have not got a response to GoDaddy, but I do always link the link in the video description in case you want to go check out the Defiant Art website. But this is what it would look like on mobile. At the top, you'll get where I'm showing you new product releases, what has come out, and of course the latest release we had from Defiant Arts was the Joyous Painter's Art Box, which there are still several of those left. I am happy about the response that I did get, but there's several of those left in case anybody is interested. And then of course the top part, you'll get the shop where there's everything for sale. You're going to get digital prints that are on sale. And right now, that sale that I was running for the first week of January, those prices are actually still up on my site. I never discontinued that sale. Although I did have an end date for it, I never actually went back to discontinue that sale. So if you are interested in the Joyous Artist Paint Box, the Bamboo Voyager palette, which is the 100% bamboo palette that was released with the 24 half pans in it. If you're interested in any of the digital prints that are available, I know Amy ordered a digital print of the Golden Hour hibiscus, and the quality of that print, before I sent it off, I was like, oh my God, I actually had to go back and get one for myself. Which reminds me, I have a print. I'll show it when we get to it. The Sparkling Poinsettia has a digital print available. And then the Crazy Monstera Bouquet. This one. Now, all of the prints come 11 by 14. Okay. But when I have test prints done, I have the test prints done in 8 by 10. I was like, I can't think of the size. And so this just kind of shows you the quality of what one of the prints look like. So this is an 8 by 10 print of the Crazy Monstera Bouquet. But when you order it, the only size available is 11 by 14 because I wanted to make sure that when you got a print, you got a pretty substantial one. So these are the type of products that are available on the site, of course. Let's see, with descriptions as well as links. This is something else that I do with the site. Whenever there's a digital print or a sketchbook available, I actually link in the description of that product where you can go to watch that particular print either being painted or that sketchbook being made. I always link back to a YouTube video. I want everyone to be very aware of what they're purchasing. Let's see what else is on here. Then there's actually the plant portrait package where you can pay for a plant portrait and then send me a picture of what you actually want painted, versus just buying one of the prints that I've already done. There is like original artwork that has been moved over from Etsy to it. So this is like a 8 by 10 hot press panel of Cosmos that's available. And anybody who knows the story behind the three dots, the reason I went on and listed that is because I actually think the three dots made it really unique. I'm sure y'all remember that video. I'm definitely sure Tisa remembers that video. Then the only sketchbook that is currently available on the site is that travel paper bag sketchbook. Do I have it here? No, I actually have it in the I have it in a different stack of sketchbooks because it is one that is listed for sale. So I do have it wrapped and protecting it so that once someone orders it, they won't get something that my hands has been all over and all those good things. Now, some other great things about the website is that it gives you a recommended video for the month, which, as you can see, December 2024 is still up. I've had a very busy January, and unfortunately, I haven't had time to update that, which that's something I'll make a note to do right now. I need to update make myself a note. Yes, I wrote that in color pencil. Let's see, where else? So I need to go change that. Then the next section you come to is watercolors and water soluble. So basically this section is actually a video list of beginner techniques: glazing, wet on wet, silhouette painting. And as you watch those videos, of course YouTube will give you suggestions on other technique videos that I've done. But these are the three major beginning techniques in my opinion, to learn. So there's a section listing that, and then there's a watercolor and water soluble continued section which gives you more techniques. The creative idea behind tracing, watercolor technique of blending, with how to blend your watercolors and your water soluble products. So a lot of beginner friendly technique videos to help really get you kicked off on your water soluble journey. Then the next section is for the creative in you, which is going to give you sketchbook and junk journaling videos that are geared towards beginners. Like here, there's the playback of the Fine Art Advent Journal. If you guys want to catch that and you haven't seen it, here's a video for beginner junk journalists. Start here. Very basic, very beginner video for making a junk journal, and I also go through explaining what they're for and why they're needed. Here is a Christmas inspired watercolor sketchbook, which is the tab one we just looked at. So that particular video is there. There's a mixed media um, gallery or archive gallery, which is going to show you a lot of different custom paintings that I have done. There is that amaryllis that we were looking at earlier. So you can catch that out. Then, of course, about Defiant Art is going to tell you the history of the company. There's a little synopsis about myself. We talk about the company values, where you can find us at, different ways to contact. You can join the emailing list for updates if you would like to. It gives you contact information for text customer support, as well as the email address for the company, and that's where you would sign up for the email. So yeah, I always encourage you guys, go check out the Defiant Art website. Lots of good stuff there. And I do kind of work hard on trying to make it user friendly and easy for you guys. And they're gonna be, as soon as I get back into the full swing of things in February, there's gonna be so many more handmade products going up that'll be available. All right, so where were we? Yeah, I don't have a time limit for this video, guys. I'm gonna be very honest with you. Hello, Laura. Yee. So good to have you, love. Good afternoon. My version of the cupcake is one of the best things I have ever painted. Oh, you mean I know, you, I know what you're talking about. Because you've told me many times that you enjoyed that video. This cupcake. I bet you this is the one you're talking about. I loved painting this cupcake. I love doing that video. It came out so nice. And just look at how beautiful Artwell paints are. Seriously. I mean, of course, we all know it's superior, but still, look at how beautiful they are. Absolutely good. Absolutely gorgeous, don't you know? So, you got that body beautiful flow. This silly to ask, why not hype your own brand and website? Right. Right, exactly. I mean, considering all of the other art product reviews that I do, all of the, recommending of other brands and other products that I do, why would I not do my own? Like, that makes no sense. That makes no sense. Um, you do so much on the side, Ken, on top of working full time. Absolutely. I really, really do. Too much on the side. I need to lay down. You guys have no idea. I barely get any sleep sometimes. Seriously. I'm grabbing a stack of books. Here we come. Here we come. I'm grabbing a stack of books. And then I'm going to eventually get to 2 custom made that are going to be listed on the site. Actually, sooner than later. I might get them up today if I have a chance. All right. So let's start here. This, my friends, is a sketchbook that was made for World Watercolor Month 2023. Everything down to the covers itself we design with water soluble products. I don't know if you guys remember this video, but if you don't, you can definitely go check it out. It's in that same DIY playlist, and I literally walk you through everything, how we did the water soluble covers, how we took that water soluble painting and turned it into book board, and then took the book board, turned it into an actual sketchbook that we use throughout World Watercolor Month 2023. Fabric on the inside, it even shows you how I both dyed the fabric and stamped it. I think I stamped it with ink tints in order to put the butterfly design on the inside. It even shows you how I turned it into a sling journal, or should I say a twine bind journal, so that the pages would be removable to make it easy to paint on them and then reinsert them inside the sketchbook. So yeah, I had a lot of fun. I'm gonna flip through this really quick. I don't remember any of the prompts, but here's just some of the things that was done. Yeah, this was 2023. That's like the fossil of a seashell, and it was done with like Derwent, which is why I think I did with blocks and maybe graphite pencils, which is why I have the little piece of napkin in there to kind of help the transfer. Just different things. We had so much fun. There are a lot of these are actually videos on the channel. That one didn't turn out so well. That was a piece of cake. That was when I was really trying my best to get the hang of those. Just working with water soluble pastels. Um, but I had so much fun. That was a watercolor pencil creation that didn't turn out too well. And I always tell you, so you guys, give yourself grace. Every single thing you create is not going to be a masterpiece. As a matter of fact, if you could see how many bad paintings a content creator ends up with before you actually get to see the video, or if you could see how many times a content creator will actually start over or have to edit stuff before you get that final product, which is another reason I appreciate like Lindsay so much, is because Lindsay will like leave her mistakes in and let you see how she corrected them. And I've always tried to take that approach with my videos as well. So I never have an issue showing you something that I don't think turned out too well, because A, I learned from it, and B, I'm always able to share with you what I learned from it so it can help you out, hopefully. That was, again, I don't remember what a lot of this was done with. This is watercolor pencils. Um, Ooh, I really like doing this one. This one was a Chris Petrie paint along. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Chris Petrie, but he has this absolutely amazing series called Extreme Watercolor, Extreme Beginner Watercolor, where he breaks down a watercolor for a beginner to like dust. Now, you know, he has his own painting style. It's an acquired taste. You either love it or you don't. I happen to love his painting style, which is why I decided to tackle this doing that. Let's see, just a lot of different things. I want to do a close up of a leaf with some raindrops on it, so this was here. I think this one was me following a tutorial by Lindsay the Frugal Crafter, if I'm not mistaken. You know what? I may actually paint today when I get off of this live. I'm all of a sudden in the mood to paint, especially a landscape. I'm really in the mood. Sunglasses. This is like a stack of rocks. I don't know. I had fun. I really enjoyed the prompts for 2023's World Watercolor Month. I think I enjoyed the prompts for 2023 World Watercolor Month more than I enjoyed the prompts for this current past year that we just went through. So, the paper that's in here, believe it or not, I'm finna blow your mind. All of this is painted on Master's Touch pre-cut wood pulp watercolor cards. And I may actually have one that I can put my hand on really quick to show you what I'm talking about. Or maybe I have closed that box up already. Let me see. Now. Let me see you get down low. Okay, I think I may have already sealed the box that has those watercolor cards in it. But yeah, these are basically watercolor cards, and they're not even cotton watercolor cards. They're wood pulp paper. This is the Master's Touch brand. Now, I'll be honest, for a lot of reasons, I have kind of shied away from shopping a lot at Hobby Lobby, so I probably wouldn't recommend, you know, the Master's Touch ready cut cards. But you can get Strathmore ready cut cards and do the same thing with them. They can actually be the pages for the signature of your sketchbook. And I might go back and do a revamp of this idea, showing you how to use those ready cut watercolor cards to make your own sketchbook with. Yeah, so there, that's upside down. But yeah, and then there was a few extra pages in this one. I actually enjoyed this sketchbook. I enjoyed using it. And like I said, the paper is decent. You can find Strathmore. You can find lots of companies that make ready cut watercolor cards. Now here's one that we've done really recently. This was a sketchbook made to be a mixed media sketchbook in this sense. We used pattern paper to design the cover. We actually did the focal image inside Alive, done not too long ago. I think we did this with watercolor pencils, and we were using one of our 30-minute watercolor books as a reference, if I'm not mistaken. But this was done on Alive, so you can go back through the Live tab and actually find us doing this side view of this poppy. So what we also did was went through and actually kind of like hand painted and made all of these different designed pages that we then turned into the signature for the actual journal. And basically the concept here is to create on top of each of these pages. You now no longer have like a blank white page. So those people who have a fear or staring at the white page can't get an idea, this is a great way to break that monotony. Create you a sketchbook with pre-designed pages meant for you to create on top of. Now, I've been thinking about the first video that I was going to do with this, and I think I'm going to make it because these, like, think about it, this will be beautiful with a silhouette painting on top. Can't you see it, like the horizon line? That's the sky is kind of reflecting in the water, and using a monotone painting on top. Of course, it would have to be something dark. Say like a dark purple paint or dark green paint. Of course, black. Or you could use different variations of darks like dark green and dark purple together, but anything that'll stand out against the lightness of the page, and just do a silhouetted painting on top of it. I promise it's coming up. It's coming up February. For it to be a short month, it's going to have a lot packed into the lives, especially because, as you know, we are going to be down to one pre-recorded video a week being released on Wednesdays, uh, so that we can make sure that it's great content. Now, this is what is called an upcycle. This was actually a paper pad. It was a 9x12 paper pad by Sucolor, maybe I think is the name of the company. They make quite a few art products, but the book came in like one of those big kits that you get, or the paper pad, the watercolor paper pad, that's what I'm trying to say, came in. And basically what we did was, and this is a video on the channel that you can find as well, basically what we did was take that paper pad, chop off the end of it, upcycle the outside by simply covering it with pattern paper, putting a focal image on the front. On the inside, we covered it with more pattern paper. But as you can see, that is not the same type of binding. That is a glue bound 9x12 paper pad that we basically just upcycled and turned into a square sketchbook that can now be painted in. Now this is 140-pound cold pressed acid free wood pulp student paper, super thin. It has sort of a creamish tint to it. I've painted on 1 or 2 sheets. It's okay for practice, but I don't know. It's like one of those really super like economical paper pads, and it's a really great way to upcycle something and make it look cute and pretty if you're giving it away as a gift, right? So that's that sketchbook, and this is probably the easiest thing in creation to make. So again, you can go check out the playlist, the DIY playlist, and you will run across that video. Knock yourself out with it, right? I'll show you guys this. I wasn't going to show it, but this is actually a swatching sketchbook that I made for my oil pastels. As we know, oil pastels are really messy, so I did not want to put them into swatching books with my other products, so I made them their own separate one. This is simply a hanging file folder that I cut down, and to the inside of it, I glued cardstock that I dyed and then splattered with watercolor paints, and then cut it down to fit the inside. Of course, there is fabric covering the binding, I'm sorry, the spine, so that it'll be sturdy and won't rip. Each of the inserts is Canson mixed media paper because it is absolutely wonderful for oil pastels. And then I just took a page protector, like the little page protectors you have inside the Trapper Keepers. I would take one of those and cut it down and tape it at the bottom. That way I could protect the oil pastel. And the sleeve will slide on and off, as you can see, but it'll protect the oil pastel and the other pages because oil pastels will transfer. So this is the book that I have been swatching all of my different pastels in, from water soluble to oil based. And so you can make your own swatch book. You do not have to buy one. That's the main purpose for showing you guys that. And as you can see, I have plenty of pages left to swatch out many other sets of oil pastels if I choose to, or when I get around to doing that, should I say. So there's an idea. You don't have to buy like the pre-made watercolor swatching books. You can make your own. You really, really can. Okay, let's see. Where are we going now? We're going here. This is from 2023 Inktober, I do believe. And this one had all the little trick fold outs in it that had the extra paper. You got extra places to paint on the inside cover. Actually, you had inserts of paper that were inserted inside for you to draw and paint on. I never actually got around to using any of those. There are envelopes on the inside that were used for pockets, for reference for those. Oh, there's a note in there. What does it say? It's a little note to myself. At this point, I have completed 3 video days of Inktober. Hopefully by weekend, I will have completed at least 3 to 4 more videos. It's a good thing too. I start back to work soon. Maybe I wrote that, maybe I didn't. Almost look like my handwriting, but doesn't quite look like my handwriting. Either way, it's a cute little note that I kept in there to make myself remember to keep pushing, right? And I won't flip through this whole entire thing because most of this is alcohol marker work because it was Inktober. Some of it was done with watercolors, but most of it was like alcohol marker or just like straight up ink, straight up me drawing. Like this alcohol marker, alcohol marker, alcohol marker. That one was color pencils. Yeah. That was watercolor. That was watercolor. And again, this is that universal mixed media paper from Jerry's Autorama. So as you can see, again, it handles water soluble products really well. That was watercolor. That was me being crazy with watercolor. That might have been gouache. I can't remember. Color pencils. So yeah, and then like that's alcohol marker. So you definitely can get that's alcohol marker. That's alcohol marker. Really robust paper. I'm telling you, the universal mixed media paper is good. It is. It's a good paper. Sorry if any of that was off screen. Here is one of the very first sketchbooks I made. This is bound with Canson XL. It is terribly, terribly done. This is back when I thought I needed to put like holes, like you were trying to put it inside a 3-hole ring, a 3-ring binder in it. I had no idea what I was doing. It took a long time. However, there is that painting that I was showing you that's on the cover of this one. So there is the original painting that ended up as the cover on this. So I definitely encourage you, use your own artwork inside your crafting. It will push you and encourage you to keep going. Yeah, so this one just has a lot of just different kind of craziness in it that I was playing around with. There's a magnolia. This is the go-to sketchbook for when I'm not trying to do anything serious. I'm just trying to come up with like an idea of something that I may want to do. Some of the things that I painted in here are on the channel. Yeah, like I think that definitely is on the channel. And I was playing around with Graphitent products right there. This is probably the one in here that I go to the most. This was done, oh my goodness, guys, where do we do this? On Patreon? I think we did this on Patreon, but it was done with a lot of different products. Um, but yeah, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. That's Canson XL paper. I don't know. You know whether you like it or not by this point. All right. So the next one up is a sketchbook that was sent to me by Tisa. She made this one for me and sent it to me with this little care package. So it is a 3-hole pamphlet stitched journal that she covered with some blended watercolors as the focal image, which I think is really beautiful. And it had always been my plan to kind of create on top of that. I just never have gotten around to it. And this paper on the inside of this is Hahnemühle or Hahnemühle, if I'm not mistaken. Here I used Winsor & Newton watercolor pigment markers. I was just kind of playing around. I've done just a few things on this paper. I have this block here because I want to use up every inch of this paper. I think we did this little drawing inside Patreon one night. It's just got some stuff on it, stuff in it that I've kind of played around with here and there. Feather, holly, the pumpkin, where we was testing a really super economical student grade of paints. You can even see how they kind of cake with the layering there a little bit. But the painting turned out okay. And I think that's all that I've done. This paper is kind of precious to me because I do love it so much so that now I have quite a few other Hahnemühle paper pads here in the studio. Of course, we won't cover those today because they're paper pads instead of sketchbooks. But let's move on. Here's another more recent sketchbook we made together. So you can definitely find this one. This is an upcycle. Here we took and you can see on the back, we took a Brute Furner Macaron color pencil box and simply used pattern paper to upcycle the box. And then the box is what became the cover. Became the book cover. So we designed all of this, on camera together, including the background. Just covered the inside with pattern paper. And I've done a few illustrations inside this, not many. There was day 10. What was that from? That may have been from World Watercolor. No, that was from, oh, what did we do recently? Was that Inktober? I think that may have been from Inktober of 2024. And those are the only two things that I've done in there. But this paper is Artist Loft, 140 pound cold press acid free level 2 specifically. And it is a really good student grade paper to paint on. Level 2, not the Artist Loft level 1 watercolor paper, the level 2, okay? You want to make sure that you get level 2 or level 3 if you're buying their paper products, because those are the paper products that target artists and professionals. The level 1, which is what most people grab without ever realizing the differences between the different levels, is the one that is more student grade and doesn't perform as well as some of their level 2 and level 3. And again, we're talking about papers more than anything that are bound inside these pre-made sketchbooks. And then of course, handmade sketchbooks. And of course, when we get to the pre-made, we'll be talking about those actual companies as well. But you can go find the creation video for that on the channel if you like. We're going to look at another upcycle. This is the upcycle of a ring-bound watercolor book. So this is Grumbacher 140 pound cold press acid free watercolor paper. Now, it's not the best wood pulp paper on the market, but let me tell you what I loved about Grumbacher when they designed their spiral bound books. I love the fact that they did it with pages that can literally be removed. Look at that. You can literally remove the page and then reinsert it inside the ring binder once you're done painting on the page so that you don't mess up anything inside the binder. I think that is absolutely phenomenal. I do not remember what paints these are, but they were not all of that great quality, as you can see. I swatched them here. I just don't remember what that was. And I haven't used, basically what I do is I pull the pages out and use them, and then it ends up being a standalone painting and I don't reinsert it back inside. But you can find these, I would suggest Amazon. I don't patronize Walmart anymore, so I can't recommend the product from Walmart, but you can definitely find it on Amazon, and you can find it from the Grumbacher site itself. And I'm pretty sure that there are other, art suppliers that you can order it from. But it's very affordable. And I love the fact that you can remove the pages. Again, decent paper. I think, I kind of put it on the same level as Canson XL. So, with the exception that you can remove it. So I would probably go for this before Canson. And as you can see, just basically upcycled. I didn't really do much. Didn't cover the back, left it exactly how it was. On the inside, I really just took leftover paper strips and glued them down, separating them by a couple of inches. And you can see it made it look like it was designed. That's literally just strips of pattern paper glued down onto the actual backing from the pad. And this pocket is made from, let me see though, this is printer paper that was dyed with coffee, and then I laid a stencil on top and used coffee to stain the paper in order to make the design, and glued it to a piece of cardstock and turned it into a pocket for the back of the sketchbook so that you would have room to hold stuff in the back of the sketchbook. So all of these, again, on the channel, there's so many ideas of how you can upcycle and make your products more useful and make them go a long way. The front cover, now this was actually painted on one of these pieces of paper and then transferred into the book, right? This is Castle Art. I don't know what paints those were. And this is just a piece of pattern paper to use as the cover. And then these little spiral bound books come with like this little leaflet on it that explains to you how this whole removing and reinserting system works with the paper. So I just covered that with pattern paper as well because I wanted to kind of fit in. So you can upcycle what you already have, right? You don't have to know how to custom bind anything. You can take what you already have and turn it into something gorgeous. All right. I don't know what happened just then. Okay, so here is one of the earlier sketchbooks I made quite a while ago inside, my little career. This may be on the channel, it may not, I can't remember, but it's a really simple concept. It's a piece of pattern paper with cardstock glued to the back of it, sewn down to make it sturdy. I kind of threw some color on it, used some stamps to put some designs on the inside, and yeah, there you have it. Very easy to make. It's made from pattern paper, friends, and bound with a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. It had a little charm on it, which is broken off. But this is bound with Fabriano Studio, 140-pound cold press, 25% cotton pulp paper. It's okay. I think we were talking about this paper just a little earlier. It's okay. I'm not crazy about it, but it's okay. As you can see, it holds pretty decent coloration, saturation for the paints. I can't remember what paint that was done with. I think this was done with gouache, if I'm not mistaken. It may have been Master's Touch gouache, or maybe it was Lucas. Can't really remember, but it was done with gouache. Um, then I kind of played around on the paper. This was just a fun little illustration done back on the channel in 2023. We were just kind of playing around with some stuff. And then last night inside Patreon, I decided that we were going to kind of do this ideal for a Valentine card cover where we were painting this Mylar balloon. Now, I cannot even begin to explain to you guys how much trouble I had with this simple little illustration last night. Now, we got through it, but between the paper and the product that I was using, it wasn't the best experience. And that's one of the things that I love about the live videos over on Patreon is we're going through like tutorials and talking about the process. As I mentioned earlier, you kind of get to see when I make a mistake, when I mess up, and what I do to fix it. And last night I messed up. I messed up because I forgot the quality of the products that I was painting with. And I started trying to do more layering than I needed to do with the actual paints. And it made things look streaky. It started to lift. So it quickly turned into a mixed media project where the painting was saved by the day by the Castle Art 120 count gold edition color pencils, which I happen to have some here on my desk. This is what you saw me write this with, because I am in the process of testing these color pencils. And this is one of the reviews that are going to come out during the first couple of weeks of February. So if you've been waiting on that Castle Art pencil color pencil review, just hold on a little while longer. It's coming up as soon as I get back from vacation. But I use those pencils to turn this in. And after everything is said and done, it was decent. You know what I mean? It was okay. Um, I was satisfied. You could actually take this illustration, put it on the front of a water soluble greeting card, stamp Happy Valentine on it, write Happy Valentine on it, whatever you want to do, put your little sentiment on the inside. So sometimes even something as basic as this turns out to be a really great idea to kind of run with. And you know, it's got little sections in it for holding little reference photos and notes. But the reason that this one ended up being pushed to the back is because I started to discover better paper that I liked more than the Fabriano Studio. So that's why that one isn't complete. But as you can see, there are many incomplete sketchbooks and upcycled things here. So now I think you're getting a better grasp of why I said 2025 is going to be the year of using up journals. Absolutely. Absolutely the year of using up journals. Okay. We are coming to an end of the whole custom made situation. I have two other ones here that I'm going to show, and then we'll be switching over to um, pre-made, pre-bought sketchbooks. We're nowhere near done. Just so you know, we're nowhere near done. These are prototypes that were listed on Etsy and will be going back up on the Defiant Art website, because these are journals that you can order and I custom make them as their order. Simply because they are so labor intensive that I didn't want to just make a bunch of them, put them up, and they didn't sell. But they are prototypes that were used for taking, you know, the relevant and necessary pictures. Now I'm going to be relisting these on Defiant Art really soon, so you'll be able to order them. So this first one is a custom portfolio that looks like it's leather. I know it looks that way, but it is not. This is actually fabric. There is a concept video for this on the channel under the DIY playlist. It is a portfolio I made that contains a pocket upon opening the front for you to insert things into to hold. There's a pocket on the back cover, right? Then as you open, there's a major deeper pocket on the inside cover here. And we're going to get to that in just a moment. Each one of them has a backer that has a belly band where you can insert your paintings after you're done in order to store them, including in the additional pockets that are inside. You have your choice from the listing of whether you have it pre-bound with a spiral bound Artist Loft level 3 mixed media pad. And let me tell you, if you thought their level 2 paper was good, this is professional level paper. I know they also make a cotton paper now, but I didn't, at the time that this particular prototype was designed, I wasn't aware of the cotton paper that they made, but I was aware of the level 3 professional paper. And when I tell you it is scrumdiddlicious, it is scrumdiddlicious. Now, this has no paintings in it because this is a prototype for advertisement, but I have used this paper and I have sold quite a few of these. Like I said, you have to, once you order it, it's custom. It takes about a week for production because I'm making everything from hand. It comes with the pre-bound mixed media pad, which is a rough 140-pound cold press paper, or you can have it bound with the 3-hole pamphlet stitch using 100% cotton Artwell paper. So that's a choice that you can make from the listing. Each one of them comes with its own sheet palette. Now, let me be clear here. The one that comes inside the portfolio when you order it are the Viviva color sheet palette system. I do not know if you guys are familiar with that, but it's basically the watercolors that look like little sheets and come in the flip book. I don't have one handy. I wish I did so I can show you. But at the time that I made this prototype, I actually had Peerless watercolor sheets, not Viviva, Peerless. But Peerless is a little bit harder to find, and Viviva is what comes in the book. If you custom order it, it's all going to be in the description. So here basically is a palette, a sheet palette, where I took watercolor paper, made a journal like I was going to be using it to like sketch or draw in, and instead I glued down each Peerless watercolor sheet, wrote out the name of the color, and then put a little swatch on the side so I'll be aware of the color that I was painting with. Now, in between each one is a protective sheet to make sure that paint doesn't transfer from one to the other. Again, yours will be the Viviva pre-made, so it won't look like this. It'll be about half the width of this one. But at this point, most people know the Viviva sheets that I'm talking about, so I really shouldn't have to describe them. And if you don't know what they look like, what did I do with the other phone? Here we go. I will quickly show you what I'm talking about. Viviva color sheets. So if you don't know, go away. Now, I always suggest going straight to the source. You can order them from the Viviva site. Here we go. And they actually have pens now, but I think the pens, I'm more than sure, made by Superior. But the sheet system that come inside this palette, I mean this portfolio when you order it, is this one. So I'm sure you guys have seen or know what the Viviva color sheets are. Will that enlarge? It won't enlarge. That sucks. But that's what the system. Oh, I thought it would enlarge. But you guys have seen those before, so I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. All right, so that's what I mean when I say the Viviva comes inside there instead of Peerless. So this concept here is just like a DIY version of the Peerless flip book, of the Viva flip book, because I had the individual sheets that someone had sent me years ago, and I didn't want them to go to waste. But that's what that looks like. It will be relisted on the Defiant Art website in case you ever find yourself interested in ordering one of those portfolio systems. And here is the other custom make custom order. Again, takes about a week after you order it for processing, simply because I have to make everything by hand, and then it ships out. Of course, I keep you updated through the entire process. But this is a three signature, three hole pamphlet stitch bound denim sketchbook. So yes, there's a denim. It's made from denim. Each one comes with a separate sketch. Is it two or is it one? Because I remember Tisa was like, you always adding them extra sketchbooks. So inside this one, in the front cover, there's a belly band, and inside that belly band is an additional custom-made sketchbook. Now, these are what I call my card front sketchbooks. Something that I'm trying to corn is a Defiant Art thing. But basically, they are sketchbooks where the front of the sketchbook is designed like a greeting card. So therefore, I call it card front sketchbooks. And on the inside of this one, we have Universal. No, that's a watercolor paper. That may be Canson 117-pound cold press paper. I think this is part of the graduate line of paper. So yeah, because the insert is student grade. I had to think about it. The insert is bound with a student grade wood pulp paper, although it's pretty decent. Again, 117 pound. You guys have seen me paint on it before. And then the actual sketchbook itself is bound with 100% cotton watercolor paper. And my go-to paper for binding sketchbooks as far as 100% cotton is concerned is Artwell, simply because it's a great paper and it is affordable. But as you can see, I haven't painted inside it, but this is what the sketchbook looks like. And each one of them will say handcrafted, original, 100% handmade whenever you get any of my custom made sketchbooks. So there you have that. Both of the ones that I just showed you will eventually be relisted on the Defiant Arts website, just in case you want to have me make you a custom sketchbook of the sort. All right, that is the end. Nope, one more. Inside my travel system. So this is a beautiful little travel system that at this point, I'm just gonna say one of my family members, because that's honestly what she has become, purchased me for my birthday. We're gonna call her my sister, and it is absolutely amazing. 100% genuine leather, and it's just got all these cute little things and tricks and doodads to it. We're not gonna get into that because that's not what this video is about. But this is about sketchbooks. So in the back of this, I have this sketchbook that is bound with arches. It's either Arches or Hahnemühle. One or the other. I think it's Hahnemühle. It might be Arches. Either way, it's one of the real good 100% cotton papers. And I really enjoy. Now, this little illustration is something that was done inside Paints, Pencils, Pastels, and Markers, which is the Defiant Arts sponsored Facebook group over on Facebook, which of course you guys know I am looking for an alternative platform to host that group. I have not found one just yet, but I am looking for an alternative platform other than Facebook to move the Defiant Art group to. So if you are a member of Paints, Pencils, Pastels, and Markers, just be aware that I will be keeping you guys updated in the actual group as progression is made about another platform, if we can find one that is going to give us the same capability that Facebook has gave us to operate the group. If not, then we will be staying, the group will just have to stay with Facebook. I will just be removing my personal page and more than likely my business page. And the only thing that will be on Facebook will be the actual paint, pencils, pastels, and markers group that we all convene in. And at this point, that group has over 2,000 members. So I don't want to just close it and disband 2,000 people that have come together with a common interest. So, I would never do that to you guys. Never, ever, ever. But I am looking for another platform to possibly host it on. With that said, I don't have to tell you how good Arches paper is. Most of you know, you've heard that it's the king of papers, the go-to. I don't necessarily think it's the best paper on the market, but I do understand why those who love it love it. I think it's a really nice paper. I just happen to have other papers that I like more. Um, yeah, this little travel system is everything. I love this little thing. I've taken it out on some painting sessions with me. I really would like to shoot an outdoor video where I'm painting outside, but every single time I've gone and tried to get one of those videos shot, something happens. Something happens. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is kind of go out on location one day, not sure when, paint, and then I'll probably do a voiceover. What I've been trying to do is, do a real time video when I'm out at the lake, in the park, of these different places painting, and it never works out. Somebody always approaches me, or something is always going on, loud talking in the background, a lot of playing, a lot of kids. I've even thought about trying to figure out how I can possibly go live outside for one of our regular Monday morning lives. And I'm gonna see if I can't work that out moving up during the summertime. So you guys just stay tuned for that. All right. So that is all of the custom handmade sketchbooks and pretty much all of the advertising that I wanted to do for products that are coming up on the actual our website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of catch up where I left off in the comment section, and then we'll move on with the next section of this live, which is going to be pre-made sketchbooks, and I'm going to try to get through it as quick as possible. I will, when I edit the replay, I will be removing all of the check in the comments section in the extra chat, because this is going to be a very long live, and when I condense it down to replay mode, I want to try to keep it as short as possible. Um, hmm. Where do we leave off? I love the Strathmore Ready Cut line of watercolor cards as well, Laura. I think they're actually better than the Master's Touch anyway. Strathmore makes really good Ready Cut watercolor cards. Um, and a lot of my card making, because I used to do a lot of card making on the channel back in the early days when the channel started. And I kind of died off of card making and progressed into junk journaling and sketchbook creation. But I think I'm gonna get back into card making because it's easy to couple that with the watercolor painting and the watercolor creation videos by simply just grabbing a watercolor ready cut card, doing a complete watercolor illustration on it, stamping a sentiment, and bam, there's a card making video and a watercolor video all knocked out the way in one. So that's what I'm trying to do for 2025. Find different ways to combine the different things that I normally do spread out across many videos so that one video is full of content that's helpful for many people. Another reason that I'm now only releasing one pre-recorded video so that I have more time to really double down and concentrate on that content. Um, Hello, Crystal. That's okay that you just got here, or if you're still here, it's okay. We got plenty to go, and of course, as you said, you can always watch the replay. Now, it will take me like 24 to 36 hours to get the edited replay up, but the unedited version is always available to watch. Time the live ends. Tisa says she has so many plastic baggies she want to reuse. Yeah, I've gotten to the point where I have started to have to throw away stuff. Guys, when you are a crafter, especially someone who kind of creates your own handmade products, you will find that you hang on to everything. This packing experience has been such an eye opener to me. I'm a hoarder. I hoard art supplies and I hoard craft supplies and things that I think I'm going to use in an upcoming project, to the point where I threw away bags and boxes of stuff. And when I say throw away, no, this wasn't stuff that can be used. For instance, like scraps. Well, they could be used, but it was just like scraps of things, boxes of scraps that I've kept in case I want to kind of repurpose things and make sketchbook covers and things like that. I have boxes of boxes. And when I say boxes of boxes, I mean like I have a box that is full of things like cereal boxes and margarine boxes and cake boxes and all these different, chipboard products that we use in our everyday lives. I keep those chipboard boxes because they can be reused to make journal covers and sketchbook covers and cards with. So I have boxes of boxes, if that makes any sense. Um, Hey Ken, yes, use up your supplies before that is what I'm doing in 2025. Yes, absolutely. Hey Don, welcome over, love. Um, Tisa said, yes, I have colorful art journals in various stages. Inspo for. I love inspo for. Wait a minute, I would love inspiration for. I have colorful art journals in various stages. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what we're doing 2025. 2025 over in Thrifty Community is going to be the year of Attack the Sketchbook. Guys, we're going hard on using up sketchbooks. We really, really are. Um, Laura says, that's a goal for me this year, making my own swatching book. Yes, own swatching book, amazing to have. You do not have to go out and buy these pre-made sketchbooks. You can get you a paper pad of 100% cotton paper and make 2 or 3 swatching books and only spend the money on the actual paper pad versus dropping anywhere from $18 to $25 for a pre-made 100% cotton swatching book. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my color diaries. That's the name of them, color diaries. We're all familiar with them. They're swatching books, pre-made, 100% cotton. Basically, you swatch your own paint. You swatch your paint in them, right? Right. But for these, you pay quite a bit of money. One this size will probably run you somewhere between $10 and $15. One this size is going to run you somewhere between $15 and $25, depending on where you get it from, what brand you're buying. But why go through all of that when you can literally hand bind your own? You can literally make your own sketch. And if you need to make a one-time investment to buy you a swatching stamp, so you can use that stamp to stamp your paper with. But that's going to be so much cheaper doing it that way, so much more economical than continuing to buy these over and over when most of them only come with 10 sheets in it. So once you get through swatching 10 paint sets, you got to spend another $16. But here, if you get your own, like for instance, if you were to get the Artwell 100% cotton 9 by 12 paper pad that comes 2 in a pack, you're going to spend about 20 bucks. So you have now spent about 20 bucks for almost 40 sheets of 100% cotton watercolor paper that you can then cut down and make anywhere from 2 to 3, keeping in mind that these only have 10 pages in it. So you can make 2 to 3 of your own swatching book that contains more paper than the pre-boughts do. Yeah, from one $20 purchase. And like I said, if you just had to, you can make a swatch. Like for instance, if you have stamping sets already, you can just find one that works well for like a little swatching area. Like this swatch stamp here is from Christy Rice's swatch stamp. But you guys have also seen me use stuff like my mermaid stamp from Jane Davenport to use as a swatching block. You've seen me use that little light bulb that I got from Tim Holtz as a swatching block. So you can just grab whatever stamp you want as long as the area is big enough for you to really get a good idea of what the color looks like. You can turn that into your little swatching blocks. So there are so many different ways to get stuff like that done, my friends. You don't have to spend like a buku of money. Let me see. Tisa says she thinks it's either arches or two different Hunter Mules. Probably the. I think it's two different Hunter Mules, if I'm not mistaken, Tisa. I think the smaller one was 100% cotton Hunter Mule, and I think you told me the one that was in this one was a Wool Pup Hunter Mule. Although this is a great paper. Like I said, I like Hunter Mule papers. I'm actually more of a Hunter Mule fan than I am a Arches fan, but that's just me. Um, Good, Laura. Good. I'm glad you love it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Make your own swatching book. Save yourself plenty of money. Kat says, "Oh, I still have the macaron pencil box. I want to make a sketchbook with it too. It's so pretty." Absolutely. The video is on the channel. Like I said, if you go to the Thrift Apprentice homepage, and you hit the playlist tab, go down to the DIY playlist. And in that playlist, there is a video showing you how I upcycled that macaron box. So please, by all means, I hope you watch it and I hope you have so much fun. It is super easy. Super easy. Laura says, I wish I would have met you before I gave away my DCWV and Graphic 45 paper pads. You would have made something amazing. They would have made some amazing journals. Yeah, hang on. I don't throw in anything. Let me tell you. Like the kid sets where they get like the suit colors and like the shuttle art. For instance, you know how when you buy the big shuttle art kid sets, it comes with all those different things in it, including like a watercolor paper pad, and you already know that that's not going to be the greatest paper to do any type of professional work on, but it'll be a great way to do some practice work on. Then that's like where this type of idea comes into play. Take that super economical, like pad, turn it down, turn it into a sketchbook. It's already bound for you. Basically, the only thing you're doing is literally gluing pieces of pattern paper onto it to make it look good. And I cut off the end of it so that I would have an 8 by 8 square sketchbook instead of a 9 by 12. And bam, there you go. You just made something out of nothing and found a way to use up something that you probably would have given away or thrown away because you don't technically like the paper for fine art, but it's decent to practice on. Where are we? Hello, Eleanor. Yeah, no, I think that's on me. You're right, Tisa. It don't say arches on it. It's not impressed. And then when I pulled out the arches pad and kind of rubbed my hand against it, it wasn't. It didn't feel the same. Uh, Twitch can help with the streaming lives instead of Facebook. Okay, so Laura, here's what I've done. I don't really stream live on Facebook. I just host the Paints, Pencils, Pastels, and Markers group over there. Every now and then we have a live. I think in the 3 or 4 years that I've been running that group, there's only been 3 lives. Mainly because I've concentrated the lives on other platforms. So basically, what's happening is that we're still going to have a live here every Monday morning at 11 a.m. as long as nothing changes and stays the same. We will start having a weekly live on Palm Street. So if you guys go back and check out the video that came out on Sunday, you will get links in that video description for all of the platforms. A lot of people have already joined Palm Street. A lot following artists like Christy Rice, Bendy Desai. There's some other great mixed media and watercolor artists, pottery makers, plant sellers, It's an absolutely phenomenal app. You do not have to purchase anything, but it's a wonderful place for artists and creators like myself to reach a broader audience that may not have necessarily been introduced or had access to, like, say, watercolor content. And I say that loosely. Um, but it's a great place for you to like paint on the site, hang out, chit chat, talk. Unlike YouTube, there's not a lot of restrictions, so I can play music in the background. It can be a really relaxing setting. So I'm gonna start doing lives over on Palm Street on Sundays, once I get back from vacation kicking off in February. And the great thing about that is that if you see me paint something that you like, then you can decide to purchase it right there on the spot. Now, if you decide that you're just coming to hang out and watch things, you do not have to enter any type of payment information that is not mandatory or necessary. You only have to do that if you decide you see something on that app that you want to buy. But there are no restrictions if you don't. Let me make that perfectly clear. And when you join those lives, there is no necessity, need, or pressure to buy. I mean, do I want to sell stuff over there? Absolutely. What businessman doesn't want to make revenue? That's just crazy to think otherwise. But is it necessary, mandatory, or even important? Not really. What's important is that it's another way for us to hang out, paint, enjoy together, and be in a more relaxing atmosphere. And then the great thing about that site is that it's not a social media site. It's actually a maker site. So the things that you're going to get there are things that you are purposely trying to see. So if you want to watch and see the lizards, you can go see the lizards or the plants or the pottery or the jewelry making or the watercoloring, because there are a lot of watercolor and different type of artists on there. So just, you don't have to have a bunch of nonsense and propaganda pushed into your face. That's another reason I love this. Love that app. Um, and then there is Fanbase. Now I have migrated my complete TikTok platform and Instagram platform to Fanbase. I've completely closed the business operational side of anything that I had on TikTok. Um, I am currently logged out of all personal things dealing with Meta, be that on Facebook, be that on Instagram. And because paints, pencils, pastels, and markers is actually connected to my personal account on Facebook, that's why I had to put up the message that from January 19th to January 26th, the group would not have any moderation in it because I was going to be logged off of Facebook. And I am still looking for another platform to host that group on. So there is still going to be right here on YouTube every Monday. If you're a part of Patreon, you're still going to get all of the weekly lives we get over there. There is going to be a weekly live over on Palm Street. There's going to be a weekly live on Fanbase. So trust me, even with the removal of the pre-recorded videos here on Sunday for YouTube, you won't miss any thrifty. You might have to get another app. And I know how some people feel about that. But I mean, I don't think there should be many concerns, because if people are still willing to deal with Facebook and Instagram after the latest news about Meta, which happens to operate, let's be clear, Meta operates Facebook, Instagram, Threads, WhatsApp, and two other social platforms that I've never heard of. So, all of the terms, policies, and conditions that got changed on Meta actually applies to all of those other platforms as well. Just so you know, FYI. You should make a Valentine's Day card making series. Oh, that would be cute. Considering the fact that I'll be back on in February, I mean, we would only have like a couple of videos for it, but that's not a bad idea. Yeah, I'm behind on the comments. I'm sorry. I got Chrissy stamp set for 3 days. I can't wait to use it. Just gotta wait until it ships. Yeah, Chrissy Stampin said it's absolutely amazing, Laura. I'm a gamer, so I love Discord. I've heard about Discord, Tisa. I'm not sure. I'm not. I'll have to check it out. Someone else was telling me about Discord, so I need to kind of Google it, maybe download it, play around with it, see how it's going to be for, how it will be for hosting a group. But somebody else mentioned Discord for me to move the group to. So that's the second time I've heard it. So I'm definitely going to check it out now. But yeah, check out Palm Street, Laura. You might like it. Okay, Tisa, that'll work. Absolutely. If you want to make a mock page, I'll be happy. You know me. Absolutely. I will definitely check it out. All right. So seems like I'm caught up in the comment section. Let's go ahead and try to knock the rest of this out right quick. We're moving on to pre-made books. So each one of these will have its own branding. You'll know who it is right off. We're going to just get this kicked off from the top. Like I said, some of these will be water soluble, some of them won't. This is Soho Urban Artist Heavyweight Drawing 9 by 12 acid free 135 pound 220 GSM paper. I adore this sketching paper. Now they say it's a sketching paper, but let's be clear. I've done nothing but almost water soluble content in this book since I've purchased it. Although, like I said, they say it is a drawing paper, but here this is just me kind of playing around with a marble illustration, and this is done with graphite pencils, if I'm not mistaken. This is me playing around with graphite pencils. I think this happens to be a tutorial on the channel where I did a landscape inside like a mason jar with the pencils. Basically because I wanted to test the pencils, and I was really interested in testing how this paper would work with water soluble products. Absolutely amazing. And then I decided to go ahead and explore a little bit more. So these three illustrations are done with alcohol markers. This illustration is done with color pencils. So here we have both. So here now you've seen water soluble products, alcohol marker products, color pencils, and they say it is a heavyweight drawing paper. But I'm sorry, this works better than most mixed media paper that I've used. Seriously. Now, I skipped this page because alcohol markers do that thing called transferring, and that's what they did. It's just the nature of the beast with some brands of alcohol marker. So maybe I'll turn that into a mixed media page where I kind of work though that transfer into something. Now here, this was done. This is a tutorial that I followed by Lindsay the Frugal Crafter, and this is done with colored pencils. Um, and this particular one is a Xenocolor color pencil illustration that I started to work on, and I have not completed yet. But as you can see, I was working on a cupcake there, and I'm not sure why I stopped and never went back. But it is being done with the Xenocolor color pencils, and I'm more than likely gonna go back and finish the illustration. And then there's the blueberry illustration, which was done with color pencils as well. I don't remember the brand, but trust me when I tell you, this is an amazing paper. It's got a nice weight to it, and it has worked with every type of medium I use. I have not tried oil pastels on it, but considering how everything else has worked, including watercolor products, I would say that I think that the oil pastels are going to work really well on it. This is an amazing, amazing paper, and it is very economical. Very economical. You get it at Jerry's. I would not necessarily order it off Amazon because I've noticed Soho products are actually higher on Amazon than they are on Jerry's. So if you decide this is something you're interested in, I would definitely suggest jerry'sautorama.com for the best pricing on it. Love this paper, and you're going to see me using this sketchbook so much more in 2025. All right. Next up is a Canson XL mixed media book. We are all familiar with this. We have all seen this several hundred dozen times in our artistic lifetime. I don't really think I need to tell you guys about this paper, but of course, Canson does this wonderful thing where on the inside of most of their spiral bound sketchbooks, they'll tell you what each of the paper works the best for. And I've told people over and over, you need to pay attention to this chart because there's a reason it's there. They're very specific. Like for instance, this is the XL mixed media. Let's see. So the XL mixed media, based on stars, works the best for pencils, which like graphite, color pencils. Let me make sure I'm reading that chart right. Yeah, it's exceptional for pencils, exceptional for color pencils. It is excellent, not exceptional, but excellent for pen and ink style work. It is excellent for charcoal, exceptional for pastel, exceptional for markers, excellent for watercolors. So anyone who has ever used Canson XL mixed media paper and said that they didn't really like the way watercolors work on it, well, they even tell you that, you know, it works for watercolors, but not the best. There are other products that work better on it. So I always suggest that you pay attention to the information in the beginning of those. So I basically use this as for a while swatching for my student grade paints. Now this is way back when I was testing the Phoenix Artist Watercolor 12 half pan set. So, you know, and of course it's basically cotton. And then there are other things in here like the Paul Rubens 24 solid watercolor set. This is their student grade watercolor set. So that's what I used to do with Canson paper. It basically became a way for me to swatch um, different student grade products. Here we have the Maya Hemi Watercolor Solid 36. This is the diamond set. This is a set that I believe was produced by Phoenix. It really resembles the Cotman watercolors. And of course, you can find reviews for all of these under the Thrifty Review playlist. So just hit that playlist tab, find the Thrifty Review playlist, and you can find over there's over 100, maybe over 200 product reviews in there. I can't really remember at this point. Here we have the Shinhan Professional Watercolors. Now this is the 18 tube set that comes in the blue box. This is not their PWC set, but I just kind of want to show you the quality of the paper if you've never used Canson XL mixed media. And let's be clear, I'm talking about mixed media, not the Canson XL watercolor paper, because believe it or not, the texture of paper is of a completely different beast. Here we have the Zen Art Supply Art Nomad Watercolor Travel Set. This was a really neat travel system, and I really do like this paint. Something else that I believe is sort of a Cotman white label as well. Can't prove that, but I really think that those paints are close to the Cotman Phoenix formula. Here, Royal Talents Van Gogh watercolors, which, in all honesty, I really could have swatched this set alongside the professional paints. I know, I know. Just, you know, just let it go. Some people gonna see it one way, some people gonna see it the other. But I really could have swatched those beside that. So gorgeous set of paints. Um, then here's what I was telling you guys earlier about making your own swatch book, how you don't necessarily have to use a swatching stamp. Remember I told you I use a little Tim Hope light bulb. So like you can use the little tin, like any kind of shape that you want that gives you enough area to swatch things out. You can use that as your swatching stamp and literally make your own swatching books. Stop breaking your pockets trying to buy something pre-made. And here I was about to do the De La Roni Simply watercolors, but I decided to just, that's a set that I gave away. I like Aquafine, but I am not a huge fan of De La Roni Simply watercolors. This is just not great. So that's the Canson XL mixed medium. You know, I don't dislike it, and I don't say don't buy it. It's very accessible, and it can definitely be used for a lot of different projects. Here again, we have another Soho product. This is Soho Urban Artist watercolor paper. This is a 25% cotton, 140-pound cold pressed 9 by 12 acid free paper. I do believe that this is a white label of Fabriana Studio. Okay, because it works a lot like Fabriana Studio. And this is the sketchbook that World Watercolor Month 2024 was done in. I'm just gonna flip through this really quickly so that you can see the color saturation that the paper holds, the different type of projects that I was able to do on it. And I was using watercolor products, gouache products, color pencil products. It worked really well with mixed media. Now, I'll be honest, I said that, I think it's a white label of Fabriana Studio, but for some reason, I like this one a little bit better. It doesn't seem to have quite as hard of that like stamp texture on top of the paper. So maybe they formulated it just a little bit differently, or um, Soho is white labeling a different grade of the paper from them. But I do like this one better than the actual Fabriana Studio paper. And you guys may remember a lot of these projects. You may even remember this flip through, because this is the flip through from, like I said, World Watercolor Month 2024. And I was able to get all of those illustrations inside this one sketchbook. So, you know, if you want to order this, I say go for it. If you're a person who likes the Fabriana Studio paper, I say try this out. See if you like it. See if you like it better. It's actually cheaper buying it under the Soho brand than it is buying it under the actual Fabriana Studio brand. All right, next up, you heard me mention an artist that is now on Palm Street along with Christy and myself, that you guys may know of. This is Bendy Desai. If you're used to Bendy, you're used to seeing her mainly on Instagram. But she, like myself and like Christy, does release her own products. And this is her very first sketchbook that she released. You can order it off Amazon. I don't know if she has her own website. I'm gonna be clear. Let's be clear. It is not a cheap sketchbook. It is 9 by 12. I forget how many pages in it. Let me see if yep, I have the wrapping right here. Oh yeah, she does have a website, DesaiArt.com, www.desaiart.com. So you can go check her out. This is a 100%, let's see. So yeah, 140 pound, 100% cotton, cold pressed texture, 24 sheets with one color wheel recipe page, 8.5 by 11 inches. So it's 8.5 by 11, like your standard paper size. And it does give her information for her website, as well as how you can find her on the Insta, which, with the meta thing going on, a lot of people, business wise, are still gonna have to like bite the bullet to deal with Instagram, because the God honest truth is that's where a lot of our brand deals come from. That's where a lot of different companies find us and try to work with us as content creators. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this all plays out. But it's a top fold, a top ring bound book. One of the reasons I love it so much. As I said earlier, it comes with a color wheel on the inside. There are color recipes to mix her favorite colors, which I think is cute. Moonlit night, So if you like that color palette, not only does it give you a color wheel, it shows you how you can mix those colors if you want to. That back page is basically going to give you information about the artist that designed the sketchbook. She does very beautiful work, very beautiful work. And now I'll just show you some of the things. Now, back during Inktober, I started to use, that's when I initially cracked this book open. Do I have another one of these? I gave it away already. I think we gave it away in a giveaway during Inktober. So somebody out there already received this sketchbook from me. I don't remember who it is. Am I right? I'm gonna have to check into that. I think that's right. Or is it still here for the Roman Smalls giveaway? I think it's still here for the Roman Smalls giveaway. So I take that back. It was not given away during Inktober. Um, I still have the extra sketchbook because I plan on doing a Roman Smalls in this sketchbook combination giveaway once I actually get to the Roman Smalls video. But that's for future. That's for the future. This is a really cool 100% cotton paper. Now, I'm wondering if the company that Artwell uses to white label their 100% cotton is the same company that's white labeling this one because it feels really similar. Not quite the same, but really similar to the Artwell paper. I do believe that this one handles water a little bit better. It doesn't seem as pulpy per se. And as you can see, it took ink really well. I haven't finished that illustration. I know I need to. And here is another inking project that was done on it. And this inking project was referenced from the Ink House book that you guys have heard me talk so much about. And this is actually me using fine liners on a watercolor paper. And it actually worked super, super well. I was really impressed with the way this paper took ink. And I was impressed with the way it was starting to take watercolor and just different washes of thin color. Of course, I need to finish it, but you can get a really good general idea of just how the paper performs with sketching. And this is a watercolor paper. Look how crisp that is. And those are the only two illustrations I've done because again, I was kind of saving this sketchbook for breaking into the whole Roman Smalls area or era, not area, era, Roman Smalls era for the channel. But that is a actually really nice sketchbook. I really do recommend that one. And you are supporting an independent artist when you buy that sketchbook versus supporting um, a major corporation or manufacturer, just in case something like that is important to you. All right, this next sketchbook is a Tim Holtz Ranger product. And let me tell you, the outside is gorgeous. When it was sent to me, I'm pretty sure that the person who sent it thought about me because it looks like something I would make when I'm making one of my own custom made sketchbooks. So when I originally got it, I was really excited about this. Let me see if I still have. Let me see if I still have the band that came on it with the information. I don't think I do for that one like I did for Bendy. Let me just make sure real quick. Yeah, so not my favorite sketchbook, my friends. I'm gonna be very honest right off. Let's talk about it. So first of all, I love the way that it's designed aesthetically because again, it looks like something I would have done myself. But once you actually get to the creation papers on the inside, what you're going to find is that the lighter pages are of a thinner weight because they are the mixed media paper that's meant to do, your water soluble projects, your color pencil projects, possibly your alcohol marker projects, something like that. Now, initially, I did one painting inside where I kind of did this little image of some birch trees, and it was done with watercolor. So I didn't really feel bad. I felt like, okay, it turned out okay. Um, and maybe that was just beginner's luck for this paper. Who knows? Because the very next illustration that I tried to do was we were doing this pumpkin illustration, and if I'm not mistaken, the original layer was done with like watercolor paints, if I'm remembering correctly. And as you can see, I've started to go back in and lay down colored pencil in order to blend it and make it look more wholesome because I really did not like that big shift we got in color with using water soluble products on it, although it's supposed to be a mixed media paper. So I feel like this type of paper, this book, if you see it, if you run across it, if you ever find yourself interested in it, works better for like dry media. I really, really do. I think it's more of a dry medium. Is that alcohol marker? Let me see. Is that alcohol? Be alcohol markers, actually. Alcohol markers and color pencils instead of watercolor. Yeah, that's alcohol markers and color pencils. Um, and then here on a different, like now, this particular paper is more of a thick cardstock type paper. And I felt like, well, let me try gouache on that because gouache works well on many different things. And I initially started trying to do a composition that ended up being a Christmas card project here on the channel with gouache in this book. But as you can see, the gouache was super streaky. It was super streaky. Now I may eventually go back and try to finish this. Like all of the ones that I kind of start and stop, I'm gonna go back and in a mixed media fashion finish them. But definitely a dry media book, and even for dry media, it's not something that I necessarily suggest. So what I think I'm gonna do when it's all said and done is more than likely be removing the actual signature insert and reusing the cover because I think the cover is really cute. I may even do a video where we design a dupe of this and bind it with the papers that we truly want to. So definitely not at the top of my recommendation list. Next up, Strathmore Visual Journal Bristol Board Smooth. Um, this was the original go-to paper for me for alcohol markers. So you're going to see a lot of discoloration in here because again, alcohol markers do transfer and will leave yellow transfer behind when you leave it sit like on top of each other unprotected. And this is the Sanjoki markers, and let's be clear, of all alcohol markers that I've ever used, the Sanjokis probably are the worst with the color transfer. Look at this. And I can pull out books where I've used the Sanjoki paper. You see, like it like leaked through. It's crazy. I could pull out books where I've used the Sanjoki markers, and on every illustration, the opposite page will have like terrible discoloration. And I used to recommend these markers, but I definitely don't anymore. Stay far away from those markers. Not unless they're the only things that you can afford. But this paper is really good for drawing, illustrating. I love it for alcohol markers. This is actually a really good alternative for cardstock if you want to make your own greeting cards as well, because you can do so much on Bristol board. It'll hold so many different mediums. Um, Here is just some stuff that I was playing around with some alcohol markers, as you can see, because it's been sitting back here, how bad the markers transferred. So you definitely want to be careful with alcohol markers. If you're an alcohol marker artist, you're probably used to it. If you're not, that's something that can normally be kind of alarming to a newbie. Whew, okay. Check the comment section right quick. Laura, you logged out of the platforms as well. Yeah, something had to be said. Something had to be done. Hello, Susie. Welcome in. Hopefully you're still here sticking around. All right, let's move on. We're trying to get through this. It's so much of it. I told you guys it was gonna be a long video, didn't I? I told you it was gonna be a long video. We're 2 hours in already. So next up is design ideation, creative arts, lay flat paint journal. I need to grab the other one real quick because they fooled me with that. I added this to my artist wish list, and Decca made sure that it arrived at the studio, and we played around with this paper inside the creation station over on Patreon a couple of times, and let me just tell you, I am not the biggest fan of this paper. I'm sorry, I know my voice may have been low for a second. I was trying to move some of them sketchbooks out the way so that I can actually walk to get the other ones. So here's what I did not like about this. And if you see these, I would say avoid them. It's not a great paper to begin with. First of all, let's just take a look at an illustration that I've done. This was done with alcohol markers. Now, what I do like is that nothing transferred to the other page. And I'm probably only going to use this paper for alcohol markers. Let me show you why. Here is me trying to use the paper with watercolor. Look at the difference. Look at the shift. And I ended up taking this project to something completely different. Now I am going, a lot of these that I didn't finish because I didn't necessarily like the paper as I was working on it. I am going to eventually go back and finish these. But this paper was thin enough to me and kind of warping when I was using water on it, to the point where I actually put tape in between this page and the page on the back just to make it a little bit thicker and more sturdy, so that I could use all that water soluble product on it. And I still didn't get far before I decided to kind of abandon the whole thing. I definitely suggest only using it for alcohol markers, although clearly it says on the front of the book watercolor. Now there's another one that came in that accompanied, which is supposedly mixed media paper, but without a doubt it's the same exact paper inside both books. One version is just bigger than the other, and for some reason they decided to stick watercolor on the front. So personally, I think this is more of a mixed media style paper, and it's probably going to work better for your dry mediums than it will for your wet mediums, although you can use wet mediums on it, as you can see. So yeah, that's that. Then, not necessarily a recommendation. I do recommend the Strathmore Visual Journal though, because Strathmore visual journals are actually really, really good. This is a 140-pound cold press paper. And I basically almost used this up. I've done quite a few things over the years. There's a painting dating back to 2021. There's something where I was testing some really cheap paints and didn't like the paint, so I said I was going to go back and finish that illustration with some professional paints. I've done some swatching. I put together a curated landscape set using, what was I using? Cotman paints in a tube, Grumbacher Academy paints in a tube, and I basically made a 10 color mixing set to paint landscapes with. This has been a couple of years ago, but I love both. I love Grumbacher Academy paints. Love them, love them, love them. But the paper itself works really well with water soluble products. I eventually ended up using this book to test out the sets that were coming in from Temu, because I wanted to give the paint set a chance on a good paper. So yeah, that's what this ended up being basically the Temu swatching testing ground, just kind of playing around, splashing color around, you know, things of that nature, seeing what could be accomplished. This is a really good little journal. I think it's really great for on-the-go painting and sketching. So, you know, and it's really affordable, and it's sold in a lot of different places. So that's definitely one that I would suggest. I think Strathmore is a really decent brand as long as you're dealing with their 400 series or above. Here we have the Grumbacher mixed media. Grumbacher, this is mixed media. But basically, this is designed just like the upcycle journal I showed you earlier with the Grumbacher paper that has the removable pages. The only difference is this is the mixed media pad. And as you can see, I use it to kind of just play around and draw, sketch some things out. Here's a composition that I hadn't finished. I was just starting to sketch out with, what is that? Look how peony I was sketching. And just here I was playing around with some really cheap paints, just seeing how they are. And that's another way to swatch, I was actually swatching. That's a great way to swatch your paints and have fun. You don't just necessarily have to do the traditional style swatching. And with this type of swatching, they'll kind of bleed and run into each other. You get to see how they flow, how they blend, how the colors are mixing naturally on the page. So that's definitely a form of swatching I would suggest. Um, and then here I was using alcohol markers and watercolor together. This is when I first started experimenting with using those two different mediums, where I would put down alcohol markers first and then use watercolor as my top layers. Um, and just kind of experimenting with different little illustrations. There I was playing around with some flowers. Now this illustration was done either on YouTube or in the Creation Station. So as you can see, although it's a mixed media paper, it can definitely be created on. And this is watercolor paints and colored pencils, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and that's pretty much all that's been done. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'll get a sketchbook, I'll use it for a couple of pages, and then I'll see another one I want or like, and that's exactly what happens. I move on to it. This is a alcohol marker sketchbook that comes inside the GC Quill GC Quill alcohol marker set. I do not know if they sell this by itself, but for it to be so thin, it's actually a really good paper for alcohol markers. Now, initially, I was just going to use it to just kind of test out the markers that came in that set, play around with them. I did the little candy stick illustration, and then I kind of started using the markers inside of another sketchbook. And then for the review, because I wanted to review the paper with the actual markers, I came back and did a couple of other illustrations, like this piece of cheesecake with chocolate on it. That's what that is. And this gouache tube, if I'm not mistaken, may have been painted inside Patreon. Can't really remember. But all of these illustrations were done with alcohol markers. So if you're an alcohol marker fan, not only is the GC Quill brand a really decent, affordable set of alcohol markers to get that are brush tip, the paper that they include is actually good to use. All right, next up is I'm gonna show it to you because we're doing this kind of tour. But as I said earlier, I no longer recommend Hobby Lobby products. Take that for what you will. But this is a genuine leather bound, and the leather is made in India, if I'm not mistaken, sketchbook that has hand decor paper on the inside. So I don't think is the paper handmade? I can't remember. Where is I have another one that is still closed up and sealed that I don't know where it is right now, but it has the description for the sketchbook on it. What did I do with all those other sketchbooks that I decided not to show? Here it is. So it is Masters Touch Fine Art Studio, handmade paper, 6.5 by 9.4 inches. So 9.25 inches, 96 pages, acid free. This was a 2010 production. I always tell you, check the production date when you get Masters Touch products, because the older the product, the better the quality of the product tends to be. Their newer products, from what I understand, do leave something to be desired. But this is a genuine leather made out of Indian buffalo. Yep. Now, when I first got it, it's made in villages in India. When I first got it, I was like really loving the way the outside of it looks, the way it feels. It's aesthetically pleasing. The paper that says handmade on the inside is just, I think that it's probably best simply to do just that sketch in this. Now, I tried using watercolors and I fought it. I tried using pens in it. Like, I really fought it. Now, this has been a minute ago. This was like 2022 that I was attempting to use this paper. I did successfully kind of paint this loose image of a vase on the floor inside the living room that turned out okay. So you can use watercolor on it. You just have to be careful because that paper will start to peel as you're trying to use water product. But of course, I'm hard-headed, so I continue to push it to try to see how much I could get done using watercolors. I think this is Lucas Studio watercolor, if I'm not mistaken. So again, you can use watercolors on the paper. I just feel like it's better for drawing. Now here, this is colored pencils where I use the Brute Frontal color pencils in it. So yeah, definitely. If you like handmade paper and you are someone who visits Hobby Lobby and buys their products and shops at that store, then I don't know, maybe this is something that you want to consider because although it's a handmade sketch paper, it did work okay for watercolors. And I have another one of these that I'm eventually going to be giving away. All right, let's move those to the side and keep trucking. We're almost we're coming down to the bottom of the barrel now. We are almost there. Don't worry yourselves. We got 2 stacks left. I'm gonna bring one whole stack, which actually contains quite a few books, sketchbooks in it. I'm stepping on things. Okay, so we're gonna go through them real quick. Don't worry. I know it looks like a lot, but we'll shoot through them quickly. I'm just gonna move it to the side like that. And we'll grab one book at a time, starting with these 2. These are both Potenate 100% cotton little travel sketchbooks. Now, I ordered mine off of lightwish.com, or was it Lightwish storefront on Amazon. But let's be clear, Potentate is a Chinese-based brand that does white label for other companies. So you can actually find this paper in a lot of places. And although Lightwish sells it on their website and on their storefront, it is not branded Lightwish. It's still branded with the actual company that produces it, Potentate. This one is 100% cotton hot press. Amazing paper. Let me tell you, I absolutely love this little sketchbook. This 100% cotton paper is absolutely amazing. It holds the saturation of the color so well, right? Like, and you guys have seen me painting in this a few times. That one's upside down, but I'll turn it around so you can see it. Beautiful. And this is the first sketchbook that really opened my eyes to the fact that I like hot press paper a lot more than I initially thought I did. Because originally I was all about only cold press, only cold press, only cold press. But this is, and there's a little angel wing begonia I'm still working on. But yeah, love this. These are really super affordable. 100% cotton, hot press. Oh yeah, there's a little, I think this is the one we did on live, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I suggest this. I recommend this. I think this is absolutely wonderful. This one, on the other hand, is the Potentate 100% cotton cold press paper. Again, you can order it off Lightwish storefront. You can Lightwish website, or you can just look up the actual company, and there's a lot of different places that carry this particular brand. But this is their 100% cotton cold press. Good paper, good paper. Maybe not like it as much as the hot press, which is surprising considering the fact that I like cold press more. But either or, I think, are amazing papers. You don't get a huge shift. They work really well with both watercolors, gouache, watercolor pencils. Now here is a really cheap set of paints that I was using from Temu, and I still need to go back and finish this little illustration, which I actually may do that today as I sit down and watch TV and finish watching the challenge. because I have not packed my student grade watercolors yet. I have packed all of the um, artist grade stuff, but I haven't packed any of the student grade watercolors. So maybe I'll finish that up. But both of these are yeses in my book. Both of these are great big yeses in my books. They're super economical and affordable. Trust me. Next up is going to be Reflections. Reflections is a brand carried by Jerry's Autorama. I think this was ink. I used this for Inktober 2022. One of the first things I noticed, and one of the things I hate, as you can see, I've had to use duct tape to put it together, is that after opening and closing this book just 2 or 3 times, I was starting to have the actual binding come apart, which I wasn't sure what that was all about. So that's why you see the duct tape holding both sides of like the cover page, which was a bummer for me. I mean, the sketchbook wasn't like a lot of money, but it was enough money. You know, you don't want it, something tearing up time you get it. So with that said, I'm gonna say shy away from Reflections products, which happens to be one of the only Creative Mark products that I would say, you know, is it a bad paper? Absolutely not. I just think that based on what I've purchased and what I bought, there was enough issues for me not to care for it. Here is a bigger version of the same sketchbook. The difference is I only use this one for gouache. Now, when it comes to gouache, gouache works well in on any surface almost. So yeah, if you wanted to use it for just like gouache paintings, I say go for it. Um, because I pulled off some pretty successful paintings using gouache in its intended way. But I don't really like using watercolor on this paper, although it will work. And it's pretty economical from Jerry's, but it's not a brand that I would say, hey, just run out and buy. And that is the Reflections Sketchbook by Creative Mark, sold through Jerry's Autorama. Um, and yeah, this has a lot of illustrations in it because I was doing Inktober 2022, and I wanted to have a really small sketchbook just to do some really quick, non-serious illustrations in, trying to follow the prompt from the Inktober list that year. There's some pretty decent paintings in there, but again, not my favorite watercolor sketchbook. Moving on, this one I can't really tell you a lot about because I recently purchased it. It really shouldn't even, well, I didn't purchase it, I recently received it. And I really shouldn't even have it as a part of this line, of, if the truth be told, because I haven't used the paper enough to really offer any type of opinion on it. But this is a company that's on Instagram. It's another private company, Honey Mellows. And I'll leave, you can scan that from the screen if you want to go check them out. Um, this little card that comes in it. What I like about the sketchbook is looks like something I would design. It does have a pocket here in the front to hold notes or to hold like reference photos. It has perforated pages. This is what I really like. So the pages are perforated so that if you want to remove what you've illustrated without tearing up your sketchbook, you can. You can see that it is sewn with the binding. They actually use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hole pamphlet stitch in order to put these together, and then they glued each signature to an actual fabric strip before binding it into the cover. So I'm kind of impressed with the construction of the sketchbook, and I haven't seen any other company that's making one like this. So I'm not sure if maybe these influencers are actually working with a factory to produce their own product, which would be absolutely amazing. I want them to tell me the secret and how they got the funding for that, because I would really love to know. Or they are one of the few people that is selling a product where they have found a manufacturer that nobody has seen. Because this is the first time I've ever felt this texture of paper, and this is the first time I've ever seen these type of sewn, perforated removable pages inside a watercolor sketchbook. This is 140-pound cold press, acid free. I can't remember if it's 100% cotton or not, but I think it is. Let me see if it's on here. I have to go back and research and see. But yeah, amazing, amazing little idea and concept simply based on design. Now the only thing I've started doing in here, I was doing an illustration with, I think this might have been watercolor crayons, and I really didn't like it. I did. I'll do that. I'll tell you guys in videos, kind of continue to push through and work through. But there are those illustrations that you come to that you just like, okay, I'm gonna sit this to the side. I'll come back later. But based on that little bit that I did, I like the paper. But again, this really shouldn't be a part of the lineup because I haven't tested that paper enough to really offer my opinion on it. Next up are two sketchbooks that are basically that are from the same company, same sketchbook, just different colors. Now, the first one I initially received was this one, Painting from Life. Many of you have probably seen this advertised somewhere at some point. The paper inside this sketchbook is actually pretty decent, friends. Now, it's not the best paper in the world, but it is pretty thick. It's 140 pounds, cold press. It's acid free. It has a nice tooth and texture to it. As you can see there, I was drawing out an illustration for an upcoming painting that I'm going to be doing. And outside of that, there are paintings that I've already done on this paper. Here is an illustration of the apartment building literally sitting directly in front of the studio window. I went outside, snapped a picture of it, and then we painted the apartment building inside the creation station on Patreon. So, and as you can see, very beautiful vibrancy of colors. There was not a huge shift. The paper stays wet longer than I thought it would. Now, there's no doubt that this is a complete wood pulp paper. It just performs pretty well. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not the pinnacle of student grade papers. I'm not saying that, but it definitely works well. And I think it's actually pretty affordable. Here I have a few other unfinished illustrations that I'm still kind of working through the feel as prototypes so that I can eventually get to doing doing videos. And that's what I do sometimes. And like to use up a sketchbook, I'll go ahead and try to work through an illustration before I try to shoot a video on that illustration, just to make sure that I don't make a lot of mistakes. So that's exactly what these are. These are two illustrations that are in the process that then I'll be able to use that my own artwork as a reference when we're painting on YouTube. Let's see. So in a lot of some of these projects you've actually seen on the channel. Some of them I did in the background. Like for instance, I did this one following a tutorial by Lindsay the Frugal Crafter. But as you can see, and this mixed media, it has inks, watercolors, and color pencils. So there's definitely enough tooth on the paper for you to pretty much use any medium that you want. Here I swatched the Fun2 watercolor set, if you guys remember that. And then I made a ruckus about liking this paper so much that Deca did send me a second one that is the exact same book, just got a different cover on it. And I haven't painted anything. Well, I have painted in this one. I started swatching Temu. The last Temu watercolor set was swatched in here, but that's the only thing. But I do think it's a pretty decent paper, student grade. So if you run across it, I think it might be on Amazon. I'm pretty sure it's on Temu. I know I've seen it on Temu. That lets you know how affordable it's going to be. And for it to come from Temu, it's a nice paper. Next up is Strathmore 400 series. I'm going to keep this really cute and really sweet and simple. I've told you several times before, I recommend Strathmore 400 series watercolor paper. I have been using this paper, well, not this particular sketchbook, but this brand of paper in the 400 series since my channel originally kicked off. Done in just this book alone, I've done quite a few illustrations that I'm sort of happy with. This was back earlier. This was back 2021, 2022, most of these paintings. Um, but workhorse of and that's a 2023 painting there, but definitely a workhorse of a book, of a paper. You can't go wrong with it. I know some people don't like it. I personally love it. I definitely love it so much more than the Strathmore 300, which is their paper that comes with the yellow cover. But that is just me. Okay, just me. Did beautiful botanical work in here on this paper. Yeah, so nice, nice paper. I suggest Strathmore 400 over anything Canson. That's me. Just keep in mind that all of this is based on my experience, my painting use, my painting style, and my opinion. Next up is Stillman and Burns. Stillman and Burn. I heard Lindsay the Frugal Crafter talk about this paper for such a long time. Then back during Inktober, I was blessed enough to get um, a couple of them come in from DECA. I did give one away in a giveaway. But this paper works so beautifully for inks. Let me tell you, the inking went really well, and I was using the Durant line and wash set. So it does take water soluble products pretty well too. I mean, it's a mixed media paper, so I would expect that, but I was really surprised at how well it worked with ink. So for me, although it says it's mixed media, and this is the Zeta series, they do have different series. I do like the Zeta series, and I do recommend it. I want to go ahead and use this sketchbook up as well. There are so many of these that we're going to go through that I actually like the paper, and I would like to go ahead and get them used up. Okay, next up is another Potentate book. This is a pre-made accordion style book. You can order these on Temu, AliExpress. Now this, unlike the two little travel books I showed you earlier, this is their student grade version of paper. And I'll be honest, I'm not as crazy about the student grade paper as I am about their 100% cotton papers, but nonetheless, it's still pretty decent. I'm not sure if you guys remember, but we did this illustration on a YouTube live using the Woomer watercolors. This illustration was done on a YouTube live using Shinhan professional designer gouache, right? Let's see. I can't show you that page because that page is me testing out paints from a company I'm working with while trying to produce my own paint palette. So I can't show you that because that was kind of swatching some of that out. But I will show you some of the paintings that I've done with those paints. So here are just some little illustrations that I did really quick as I was testing out the core colors, and deciding on whether or not I wanted to keep the core colors, choose different colors, or maybe work with them to see if they could formulate certain colors for me. But ultimately, what I decided after the testing is that I did not want to go with this manufacturer in order to produce my paints. I would like to find someone who offers a tad bit better quality product. But they didn't turn out bad. They mix pretty cleanly. I just don't like the fact that you can tell that there's the presence of fillers. Um, there's a bit of grit, especially on the palette when you mix them. And then of course you can look at them and see that colors that don't typically granulate have a little bit of quote unquote granulation to it, which we know is flocculation, not granulation, because it's made from fillers versus pigment. But that's neither here nor there. We're not doing a review video on the paints that I might be releasing. So here's another little illustration that I was working on with those same paints. I just wanted to do something really colorful. And as you can see, between the quality of the paints and the quality of this particular paper, I did get what looks like granulation in colors that shouldn't be granulating, which we know is fillers. So this is not a paper that I particularly recommend. I don't necessarily like this, but I will say again, I do like their 100% cotton hot press and their 100% cotton cold press papers. There's just another little illustration that I was working on with that same paint set. So it's good for. I mean, it'll be cool for beginners, definitely, because as you can see, it can be painted on, and it's not going to give you like a hard time, painting on it. What I don't like about it is that it warps. It warps a little bit more than I like, you know. But that is the Potentate. See, same label. You can get it on Lightwish. You can get it on a Lightwish storefront. You can get it on AliExpress. You can get it on Temu. Next up, not necessarily one I recommend though, but I definitely recommend the 100% cotton hot press and 100% cotton cold press. Next up, what has become my favorite paper maker? This is a Hanamule 100 and let's see. This is a Hanamule tone watercolor book. 95-pound paper. It's A5 size. Yeah. I do believe you can get this on Amazon, I think. I think. I know you can get it on their website, possibly Jerry's, possibly Blick's, but I think you can get it on Amazon too. But what I like about this is that this was inspired, or this book is inspired by Urban Sketchers. So it's actually inspired to be robust but lightweight enough for your plain air and your on-the-go paintings. And I personally happen to like the paper. It has some of my Inktober Inktober? Yes. Inktober sketches in. Inktober? Was it Inktober? Yes, it would have to be Inktober. So some of my Inktober sketches are in here. Some of these were done right here on the channel. I've had so much fun with you guys doing 2024, I'm sorry. And I'm hoping that our 2025 turns out to be just as good. Now there's an illustration that I followed, following a class on Michaels by Lindsay the Frugal Crafter. So this is one of my go-to papers. It really is. Although it's 90 pounds, it's really good. To not be a 100% cotton paper, I really like it. I really like the fact that it's toned so that, if you decide not to put a background in, it's not really that big of a deal. So this is one that is kind of at the top of my recommendation list when it comes to student grade papers. I can see why it would be great for urban sketching. It takes ink super well. It takes watercolor super well. It takes watercolor pencils super well. It takes gouache super well. And there's just inking. Here again we have gouache. I think this is Turner designer gouache on that one, whereas that one was done with the Shinhan Professional Gouache. So just overall, a really robust paper. I really do recommend this one. This one is at the top of my student grade recommendation list when it comes to watercolor paper. And again, this is the Hanamule or Hanamule, however you want to say it, tone watercolor book. Just so you can see what it looks like. Absolutely. Phenomenal paper, especially for practicing. And I don't normally like thin weight papers, so that's really good. I definitely suggest that one. Okay, we're gonna breeze on past this one real quick. This is Masters Touch. This is back when I was actually buying Masters Touch products. This is one of their sketchbooks. There was a point in time in the day when I would have said, if you're a beginner just looking for something to practice on, go grab it. But yeah, so that way I'm just kind of flipping through it so I can give it its fair shot, because everyone might not be like me. Some of you may still patronize and shop at Hobby Lobby. So, I would never try to tell you what to do. I'm just telling you that I'm not recommending products from Hobby Lobby. But here you can see how this paper kind of performs with different things. And I was using watercolors and gouache. That's watercolor pencil. That's watercolor pencil. That's watercolor. So just so you can see, this was done Inktober 2021. So that's ink and watercolor. These are just like little quick kind of sample illustrations I was doing with colored watercolor brush pens. So here you can see where I was using brush pens on it. That way, here is like what sketching on it looks like. Was doing some cute little sketches there, just trying to draw out some art supplies. And then here is acrylic paint pen. So you can just kind of see me playing around with some acrylic paint pens on there so you can see how the paint pen markers. So, you know, and then this is watercolor. Oh, this is so long ago. I was, I had no idea how much value made a difference back then. But that's just so you can see, you know. And there are, what is this? Oh, that's watercolor. Yeah. So just in case you decide, you know, you still shop at Hobby Lobby, I'm not gonna say too much about the paper, but you did get a chance to see the different mediums that you can use and what you can do in it. All right. Next up, another one that I really should not have in this lineup is still should be inside the box for needs to be unboxed, unboxed, tested, and reviewed. But this is the Tumor Auto. Listen, I don't know what they were thinking with this name. Tumu Art Somebody out there break it down for me. You know how I am with pronouncing stuff. Break it down in the comment section. Tell me how you would pronounce it syllable wise. But yeah, this company. This is a sketchbook by them. It's 200 GMs, 120-pound paper. There's 64 sheets. It's acid-free, super smooth, considered heavyweight paper. Now, I have watched a couple of videos online using this paper, and I have seen those artists use every medium you can think of in this particular book. Now, it says it's ideal for markers, pencils, inks, pastels, and more wet and dry media. Although, yeah, I don't know. It feels Bristol almost. You know, it's super smooth, almost cardstockish. But some of the illustrations that I've seen done with water soluble products in a couple of videos just kind of blew me and amazed me. So this is definitely one of the sketchbook products you can look for coming up in 2025 that we will be introducing and kind of testing the paper out to see how we feel about it. And then it'll probably end up in the stack of unused sketchbooks. That's what'll probably happen. Next up, so I really don't know if I can recommend this paper yet. What I can tell you is that everything that I've seen so far about this paper seems to be pretty good. And everyone that I've run into that has had any association with this company's paper products have said that they are good. So, you know, that's all I have to go off of right now. Next up, we're going to be looking at, this is the Render No Show Through paper. Now, this started making its round on YouTube a couple years back. I wanted to buy it because it says you can use all medias on it. What I quickly came to discover about this heavyweight paper, which is 110 pounds, there's 48 sheets. It is made in the US and it is acid free. Now, this paper is designed so that no matter what you use, including alcohol markers, it will not bleed through to the opposite side of the paper. The only thing I have ever done in this sketchbook up until this point was me playing around with the Cezanne professional watercolor pencils and doing a couple of illustrations. And I can tell you it worked well for the watercolor pencils, which lets me know that more than likely I would say more than likely water soluble paints will work well, but we're all aware that you use much less water with watercolor pencils than you do with watercolor paints. However, I have seen Lindsay the Frugal Crafter do several different alcohol marker illustrations, and their claim that it is no bleed through is 100% true. What I found with these little 3 illustrations and what Lindsay said she found from using the paper is that this paper doesn't blend well. You can layer really well, but if you are an artist who likes to do a lot of blending, then this might not be the book for you. And this is not the cheapest sketchbook either. However, I do recommend this paper, especially for alcohol marker artists. And if you like using watercolor pencils simply because you don't have to use a lot of water in order to disperse the pigment, actually the more water you use, the worse watercolor pencils perform. So it would be ideal for something like that. I do recommend it, but it's not the most economical So I'm not telling you just run out and buy it. Next up on the list, we have got, this is, I don't even know if this company is in existence anymore. This sketchbook was pre-COVID by a company called Superior Maker. There is actually a review on my channel for this paper. It's one of the very few paper reviews I've ever done. And in that video, I talked about how much I like this paper. Of course, when you know better, you do better. Let's fast forward 3.5 years. This is probably not a paper that I would recommend simply because there are so many other choices out there on the market that's going to give you better performance. With that being said, if you should run across this book on Amazon or wherever and you decide to buy it, it's not a terrible buy. You get pretty thick, 140-pound, cold pressed, acid free watercolor paper that has sort of a tannish tint to it. Now, you might not can see it in the video, but I've had this so long that the paper is starting to brown around the edges. And this, ooh, these are just gonna have some bad illustrations. This is way back in the day right here, baby. But it was okay paper. As you can see, one of my biggest issues was the fact that the paper, as you would turn the pages, would kind of come out of the book. So you would have to like take the pages back in. And I think this is just absolutely ridiculous for, a sketchbook. It took okay to see that page trying to come out right there just because I turned it. It took okay with pencil. It did okay with watercolors. Um, yeah, every one of these sheets is coming out as I turn it. Let me hold it up like this. Um, and then this is the book that I kind of go to kind of show the progression and how my art has come over the years. A lot of this was way back in the day. And then why did I band that down? Let's see what's back here. Either way, friends, not a paper I recommend, okay? Yeah, I got some illustrations in here that I was going to do. Kind of one of those books that I go through. I was sketching out how I would want the composition for. Ooh, I may do that landscape. I forgot all about that composition. I need to redraw that in another sketchbook and do it. But that's what I use, like papers that I don't love that much for. Testing out swatching, kind of testing out my little drawing illustrations, doing, different experiments. That way I still use the paper up. But no, I do not recommend Superior Maker unless it's the only paper you can get your hands on because you can paint on it. Next up, we're going to do two at a time. We're going back over to Soho. This is Soho Urban Artists Brick series of sketchbooks. And they do make one of these for every medium type. This one is for sketching. This one is for mixed media. They have one for watercolors as well. I just never purchased it. As far as the one for sketching is concerned, I actually like this paper. Here is an illustration that I did inside it to test it out. This is a magnolia that I illustrated and then shaded with graphite to give it a little bit more dimension. So if you like drawing, you're looking for a really robust kind of like drawing paper, sort of like that big Soho book that I was talking about earlier. Soho makes really good economical paper, which is so surprising to me. So definitely recommend the sketch version. Now, I don't know if you can use watercolor in this. I haven't tried. As you can see here, I got some other sketches in here where I was just kind of playing around with kind of drawing things before I actually just kind of throw them up on screen. So I mostly use this book for just kind of working out sketching ideas in my head. You know what I'm saying? Or out of my head so that they'll eventually translate into a video. So this is a really nice sketchbook. 65 pounds, 80 sheets, 5.5 by 8.5, and it works really well. It does what it's supposed to, and it's definitely affordable. The other one is also 5.5 by 8.5, 40 sheets, 95 pounds. A little bit heavier and thicker than the sketch paper. They're mixed media paper. Have I done anything on it? Yes, I have. Good. Here I was using the Mondelez watercolor pencils, which is one of my favorite brand of watercolor pencil. I just kind of did the silhouette painting. When was this? This was back in August of 2022. So this may actually be on, this may actually be on the channel. I'm not sure. Now, what I don't like is that I don't know if you can see the yellow stainings in the watercolor pencil in illustration, because here is alcohol marker work, and I was doing testing to see how well it would work with alcohol markers, you know, different mediums. It is a mixed media paper, and it took the alcohol marker illustration gorgeously. But again, I used those Sanjoki markers, and as you can see, those Sanjoki markers transferred the ink over time, and it transferred so much that it has now bled through to the front, and you can see the actual yellow strawberries inside the watercolor pencil. So, and that's not the paper. That's not the paper's fault. That is solely those markers. So let this be a warning. Those Sanjoki markers do bleed. Don't. Save yourself the trouble. Save yourself the trouble. Grab the GC Quill. Trust me on this. All right. But it took the watercolor pencils well. It takes the alcohol markers well. Here I was just kind of sketching out another illustration. And as you can see, that alcohol marker has also transferred to this page. But I like forcing myself to draw, so that I get better and better and better each time. So it worked well for graphite, alcohol markers, watercolor pencils. We did swatching of the Montmartre Premium watercolor set in here. We actually did some mixing and testing of those paints, and even an illustration here with that. So as you can see, it worked gorgeously for watercolor paints as well, although it's advertised to be mixed media. Um, so Soho products overall, in my opinion, are good products. They're good workhorse products. They may not be professional, but they are kind of really good student grade products that I don't think anybody would be disappointed with. Beginners, it would be a wonderful place to start. For experienced artists, it would be a wonderful place for buying economical products to practice with. All right. Yep, we're almost done. I'm gonna breeze through this one real quick. Stay away from it. This is the You Create Mixed Media Sketchbook. I do believe I purchased this at Walmart back during the time when I shopped at Walmart. And yeah, it was lay flat binding, which is what caught my attention because it does lay flat. Um, it says this is acrylic watercolor and sketch, but I'm gonna be honest. And it says the paper is premium. It's 9x6, 160 pages of. It didn't give the weight. It just says heavyweight, wet or dry medium. I disagree. I think dry medium definitely, it works well for like color pencils, for drawing and sketching. Here I was kind of sketching. This was outside of my partner's grandparents' house in Arkansas. I was sitting on the front porch, kind of just trying to sketch the things that I saw out in front of me, in front of the yard, across the street. So it's a lot of these do work really well as sketchbooks. Here I was using colored pencils in it. I did this little eye illustration down here. Here is where I was using Xenocolor pencils. This is some illustrations that I did with Castle Art metallic pencils. So I've used it mainly for color pencils just so I can get it used up. But I do not believe that it is, I do not believe that it's good for water soluble products, but definitely for sketching and things of that nature. What is this? A Faber-Castell receipt. What is this? Oh Lord, this is way back when I was living in Mississippi. Oh, this is the sheet. I'm sure I'm gonna cover that address because I don't know if somebody lives there now. But this is the sheet where I ordered all of those Faber-Castell colored pencils open stock to go along with the set that I had bought, because I was so impressed with the way those those gold Faber pencils worked. So yeah, that's definitely a student grade color pencil that I still recommend. The Gold Favorite color pencils. Not as crazy anymore about their watercolor pencil set, but the color pencils are still good. All right, here we go. This is Etcher. Is it Etcher Studio? Etcher Lab? This is Etcher paper. Now, this is a paper that gets a lot of recognition in the art, especially the YouTube art community. I love the fact that they make the sketchbooks where you can customize the covers if you want to. And this, my friends, behind Hunter Mule or Hunter Mule, however you choose to pronounce it, is probably my favorite watercolor paper. Okay? Arches actually falls in fourth because there's still another one in front of Arches for me. This is an absolutely phenomenal paper. If you have never tried Etcher, do yourself a favor and try their paper. Their paper is really, really nice. Now here I swatched out the paints that are inside my Bamboo Voyager palette. I've done a few illustrations, a little sketching. I've done some mixed media work, or I'm covering it with colored pencils. I love the vibrancy that the paper holds. There's not a huge shift. The sizing on the paper keeps the paper wet, and you can blend and layer both on top of it. It worked well with me using watercolor pencils and color pencils as well. There's illustrations like this that we've kind of done inside the creation station, which was all watercolor, really cute. I was working on, I don't know if I ever finished, I never finished this. I need to finish this one as well. But I was working on a tulip. This is just an absolute amazing paper. And here I've already blocked off a page and sketched out a upcoming watercolor pencil tutorial that I'm going to be doing. So you can look forward to that. I'll hold it up so you can kind of see the little landscape I sketched out there. And we're going to be doing this in an upcoming watercolor pencil video. But this is one of my absolute favorite papers. If you ask me what paper company I recommend, right behind Hunter Mule or Hunter Mule, you hear me say Etcher. Okay? All right. Let's see. Nitty gritty time. Down to the nitty gritty. These are the last 1, 2, 3, 4 sketchbooks. And then we're gonna be at a wrap up of all this. Here we have Derwent. This is the Derwent graphic sketchbook. So this is the Derwent graphic sketchbook made by the Derwent company. You can order it off of Jerry's. You may can order it off Blick. I know you can go to from the Derwent website, maybe on Amazon, but I see it on Amazon here and there, not on a constant basis. But basically, it has honeycomb paper in it. It has graph paper in it for your drawing needs and pleasures in case you need that type of assistance. They are perforated so that you can remove them, and you can actually remove the graph and stick it behind another sheet, which is actually really cool. You have your triangle graphs, you have your honeycomb graph. So it is definitely engineered to help graphic artists or to help someone who is very graphic in their illustrations in or sketching. It has dot graphs. And then you kind of get into the actual paper, which I've only used for alcohol markers, in all honesty, because it is a graphic journal. I figured that, you know, it was probably constructed more for alcohol illustration than anything. The paper does bleed through, however, it doesn't transfer to the other end. And as you can see, this is Touch New 40 count alcohol marker set, and unlike the Senjoki markers, they don't transfer everywhere. And these illustrations were done long before the ones I showed you that transferred from using the Senjoki. So here I was using some stamping, so it worked well with stamping ink, it worked well with alcohol markers, and a little bit of colored pencil on top of it. Now I feel like the paper is a little bit too thin for anything water soluble, but definitely really, really great for like graphic media, which would be like your color pencils, your alcohol markers. I think this will be a wonderful book for those who like to do manga. anime art. Yep. Definitely one I could recommend. It's not cheap. I mean, I don't know. Unless you're like a comic artist or, like I said, a manga artist, I don't think it's something that you just necessarily need to run out and grab. Next up, we're going still staying in the alcohol marker realm. This is the marker pad. Let me tell you, this is probably my favorite alcohol marker paper simply because it reminds me so much more of a mixed media paper than it does of an alcohol marker paper. I'm just going to open up the first one. You can see that I've already sketched out a cherry pie piece that I actually need to do. So that's going to be coming up in the upcoming video. So yeah, I'll go ahead and do a lot of pre-sketching of my ideas. So then when I get around to the videos, we can just jump right into the actual illustration work. But here you can see how well it takes alcohol markers. I bet you can tell what markers I use right away. Can you tell? But that's an illustration on the channel. It actually turned out really well. We used alcohol markers and color pencils. And as you can see, it transferred to the back too. Those Sanjoki markers are something else. Here is an illustration of some cherries. And I think this was done with Five Below markers. And look at there. No transfer. None whatsoever. So again, stay away from the Sanjoki alcohol markers, okay? But this was done with alcohol markers from like Five Below, if I'm not mistaken. Back when I was doing the economical alcohol set. This is, I want to say this is GC Quill. I think this is GC Quill. These are the ones that I recommend now for a budget alcohol marker set versus the Sanjoki. Here is a fall leaf illustration that was done back during May of last year, and the color has shifted a little bit. Keep in mind, alcohol markers are one medium that are not light fast no matter who you buy them from. So they are going to eventually fade over time. So that's something that you need to be get used to about alcohol markers. Now here I jumped back into using the Sanjoki. So as you can see, they transferred. But this is a caramel apple that was done. So this book works beautifully with alcohol markers. It's my favorite alcohol marker pad, okay? My favorite. Now, what I do like is although it's transferring, it's not seeping through the paper. So I'm still able to use the front of that to illustrate on, which I think is really, really cool. And that's an attestament to the actual paper, not the markers. So as you can see, it transferred to the back, but it didn't seep through. Same thing here. These are done with the Sanjoki markers. It transferred to the back of the illustration with the caramel apple, but it didn't actually transfer through and ruin my illustration. And this is what I love so much about this paper. This is what I love so much. Now, friends, if you're here, if you've been here, if you've seen anything, heard anything you like, don't forget to go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. Sprinkle a little love. Let me know that you've enjoyed this little tour. I still have plenty of room in this sketchbook. So this is what I mean by 2025 must be the year that I use up some stuff. I don't need to purchase any more sketchbooks. I don't. I need to use what I have. Not that that's going to really stop me if I see one that I like. And not that that's really going to stop me if I get an idea about one that I want to custom make. But I really need to not buy any more, use them up. All right, both of these are the same. I have a page taped down in here that I don't know if I was working on. Oh, okay, I know why I taped it down, because I was actually going to paint an illustration around this and turn this into like one of those Lindsay the Frugal Crafter sketchbook floozy template pages. And I'm probably still going to do that, so I'm going to leave that tape down. But because of that, you can't really see the work that I've done behind it. This is not Artwell, what's them people name? Arteza. This is Arteza 8 1/4 by 8 1/4, 110 pound premium watercolor linen bound sketchbook. And it is one of the best student grade sketchbooks on the market. I just want y'all to see. So I'm trying to lift it up enough so I think this is, yeah, this is the one I've been painting. So you guys may be used to illustrations that are done in here, things like the eagle that's on the channel. Wonderful, wonderful, robust paper. It works so well. That's a chocolate macaroon illustrations. We've done snow globes for Christmas. I was playing around with some ink there, seeing if I could make some jellyfish. Kind of abandoned that one, but still, you can see that it worked with the inks as well. Here's a watercolor and colored pencil illustration done where I was doing a rusty lock attached to a broken door panel. Here is an illustration of a boat on the bay that was done with watercolor. Um, I've got illustrations of, I like fruit, especially strawberries. So I did a watercolor illustration of a strawberry in here, which turned out absolutely phenomenal, I think. There is the globes that I did. You guys may remember that these are illustrations up on the channel as well. And then, of course, we started to breaking into the whole sketchbook floozy thing when Lindsay first launched that. So a lot of these are going to be broken down into smaller paintings. A lot of them are on the actual channel. And if you caught the video the other day that had the video announcements with the painting in the background, you saw both this illustration done in that video, this illustration was done in that video. And this is just a wonderful paper, friends. Now, what I do know and what I have heard from other people that is if you keep this paper too long, the sizing may go bad in it. But I'll be honest, I haven't experienced that at all. And I would suggest this Arteza paper for anybody, regardless of your painting level, regardless of how many years you have been painting. This is a wonderful paper. Oh, it is so good. As a matter of fact, this is probably going to be one of the first sketchbooks I jump back into to use up, simply because I don't want this paper to go bad before I have a chance to use up all of what's left in this particular sketchbook. As you can see, I've done quite a few illustrations in it, so that lets you know how much I like it. It was definitely a go-to sketchbook for me with a lot of different things. And then I have another one here because you order it in 2 packs. I have another one here, and I have never even cracked the seal on this one. So this one is a whole nother one ready to go. So yeah, I don't know. I may end up giving that one away because I still do have so many pages inside this one to paint. But that is the Arteza cold pressed dual side acid free natural linen bound 8 1/4 by 8 1/4 110 pound sketchbook. This one is at the top of my student grade recommendation list. It's a good one to consider. It's a good one to consider. On that same note, we have, last but not least, I think this is the last sketchbook in our lineup today. Well, actually, no, it's not. There's one more, and I'll run and grab it in just a second. So this is next to last. This again is Arteza. Now, this is Arteza 140 pound linen bound mixed media paper. Okay, so this is different from the ones I just showed you. The ones I just showed you were watercolor paper, and I like those so much more. Now, these aren't bad. They are not bad. But it is a mixed media paper. It's a little bit smoother than the watercolor paper I showed you. It does not have as much tooth. And I do believe that there is much more of a shift in color saturation on this mixed media paper than there is on the watercolor paper. But that's just based on my experience now. I have started to do or pick these back up to do more illustrations in them, simply because, again, I want to go ahead and use up all of this paper. So you will see me randomly throughout 2025 grabbing one of any of the sketchbooks we've seen throughout the course of this video to try to use up some more of the paper in it. But this was decent. This was decent. It's not as good as the watercolor paper, but it is very decent. Now, this is probably the best illustration I've ever done on the Arteza mixed media paper. Now, this was done back in June of 2020. It is on the channel. It's one of my most popular videos on the channel. And this happens to also be the painting that is now hanging as a 20 by 30, or maybe bigger than that, digital printed picture inside my kitchen. Because it goes really well as kitchen decoration. But loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. Hey Goldie, how are you? Hi Susie. Susie, yeah. Welcome in. Hopefully you ladies have been enjoying the whole sketchbook tours and just talking about the different papers. If you haven't, it's a pretty long video. So once this is over with, grab yourself a cup of coffee, kick your feet up on the couch, relax a little bit, and go back and watch the video replay. We've gone through so many different types of sketchbooks, types of papers, and I've just kind of given my thoughts on the paper. At this point, we're looking at Arteza mixed media paper, which again is a really decent paper. They're really affordable. They come in 2-packs. So whether you're buying the Arteza linen bound watercolor books or whether you're buying the Arteza linen bound mixed media books, I don't think you can go wrong. You know what I'm saying? I've done illustration after illustration in them, and I have not been disappointed with any of the Arteza paper products. You want to just make sure that you are buying, let me show you, the premium watercolor books. Make sure it's the premium because they do make a grade lower for kind of school students. And then as far as the mixed media books are concerned, they're gonna say expert. They won't say premium. They'll say expert mixed media sketchbook or what have you. Here is an illustration I'm still working on. This is me working through, it looks like a hibiscus flower that I need to finish. So there we have that. Those are the Arteza mixed media linen bound sketchbooks. Just like, here's the thing, like if you just decided to use the Arteza paper, it would get you a long way in your painting journey without breaking the pocket or the bank. It would. So, really quick, I told you earlier my favorite sketch paper is a Canson paper, and that is the Canson, this is a Canson Universal Sketch Crocus spiral bound book, just so you can see how it looks. I got this because it was recommended to me when I first said I wanted to learn how to start like drawing, really learn to draw my own illustrations. It was recommended to me, and I jumped right into it with color pencils. And just like most Canson products, it does give you this guide on the front that shows you what mediums are best used in it. I'm gonna flip through this real quick. There's Gold Faber Goldfinger color pencils, Gold Faber color pencils there. That is Arteza Expert color pencils. That's Artist Loft color pencils from Michaels. Oh, yeah, don't buy them. Artist Loft color pencils from Michaels. That is Artist Loft color pencils from Michaels. I did 3 illustrations before I did the review, and I was very upset with them about them pencils. But anyway, then this was King Art Pro color pencils, where I was doing some blending balls, sort of like glass blending balls, which was really cool. This I don't remember what set of color pencils I used, but there's an apple. It was done January 2023. It's probably like Brute Pruner or like the Broomzeal color pencils or something like that. Here again, color pencils. So I've only done color pencil work, although it's a sketch. This is during ChromaFlow pencils where the did the ladybug with. There's a pumpkins that I've drawn out and haven't colored yet. And then the latest illustration I've done in this one actually was the first field test for the King Art, for the, not the King Art, but for these, the Castle Art gold 120 count colored pencil set. So this is actually a very robust, super economical, affordable paper to draw and do colored pencil work on. And behind that Soho heavyweight drawing pad that you saw earlier, this is my favorite go-to paper for sketching and color pencils. And it's so super affordable. Actually, both brands are super affordable. All right, last thing on the docket. Last thing on the docket. We are going to be looking at Light Wish 100% cotton leather bound sketchbooks. They have a couple of them that comes in a couple of different ways. It's got 100% cotton paper on the inside. Now here's an illustration I started working on around Christmas time and kind of abandoned. But you know, I'm gonna go back and pick it up and finish it. And I'll just kind of show you some of the stuff that's in here. Here is a fuchsia flower. I do believe we did this some on the channel, if I'm not mistaken. Here is a dragonfly that we did live together right here on YouTube. Here is orchids that I painted. And this was painted with drawing ink because I wanted to see how they worked as watercolors. And I actually had a lot of fun with that one. And then we have stuff that was done during Inktober that I drew out and still haven't colored, like the Star Trek Combat or the illustration that we pulled from the ink house with the mouse coming through the little hole in the wood and the floor. But it's an okay paper. I'm not as crazy about this paper as I am about some of the other 100% cotton papers that I've had the opportunity to explore. However, it does take ink well. It does take watercolor ink well. It does take watercolors well. So definitely better than, and it does take water soluble ink. So definitely better than any like student grade wood pulp paper that you would find, but maybe not the top quality 100% cotton paper. And it does come in several different like covers that you can get it in. You can order it on Amazon from the Lightwish storefront, or you can order it off of the lightwish.com website. All right, my friends, after all that time, that brings us to an end of our sketchbook tour. I told you guys it was going to be a lot of sketchbooks. I told you that. I told you. I have a lot of sketchbooks to use up. So when I get off this live, I'm going to spend a couple of hours doing some more packing. And then I'm going to go ahead and start working on the content that is going to be released the first week of February. Because after today, after today, I will be on vacay. All right. That, my friends, gonna wrap up everything. I am going to check the comment section to see if I missed anything really quick. And then we'll take it from there. String spools are super impressive. Thank you, Goldie. Hi, Goldie. You better use your colored pencil since you started watercolors. You know, you can get into that trap. There are times when I'll go back at the channel and be like, oh my God, I just released like 5 gouache videos in a row. And I am a mixed media artist, and I do use, of course, water-soluble products, colored pencils, alcohol markers, and oil pastels. And a lot of times I feel like the people who watch my channel for the other things, they like colored pencils, alcohol markers, oil pastels, they may feel a little neglected because about 90% of my content covers water-soluble products like watercolors, gouache, watercolor pencils, watercolor crayons, and watercolor inks, you know, water-soluble things. And that's something else that I want to concentrate on making better in 2025. Keeping my content definitely mixed media and making sure that I cater to all of the people who want to be a part of this art community versus just one particular niche. That's another reason I started Paints, Pencils, Pastels, and Markers that group on Facebook, because I wanted artists who use all mediums to have a place where they can come together and share ideas. And just because you see an illustration done in watercolor doesn't mean you have to do it in watercolor. You can transpose it to a dry medium if that's what you use. So I definitely suggest you grab those pencils, use them. You can use them in combination with your watercolors. You can use colored pencils to enhance your watercolors. You can actually do colored pencil illustrations where you use watercolors as your sub painting or your base layer, and then build your colored pencils on top of it. It'll help cut down the time that you need to do a colored pencil illustration by filling in a lot of the tooth for you beforehand. So there are so many different ways to incorporate using um, art products together versus, so don't feel like just because you use watercolors a lot now you can't use your color pencils. Absolutely you can. I have several different videos on my channel. Lindsay the Frugal Crafter is another mixed media artist who does it. Now I hear a lot of artists say that they're mixed media artists, but a lot of their stuff is strictly more watercolor than anything. Now, that's not a knock on anybody, and that's what they choose to do. They choose to do it. But as a true mixed media artist, I do try my best to incorporate and keep the introduction of all of the mediums I use. So yeah, don't let them lie dormant. Grab your color pencils, use them in combination with your watercolors, and as long as they're out and sitting there, it'll more than likely encourage you to just use them solo by themselves. Maybe even buy yourself a coloring book. There's a great way to use them as well. Hello, my own. Welcome, welcome, friend. It is good to see you. It's been a minute since I've seen you inside alive. I do believe it has. But I'm glad to see that you are here today. Hello, Eleanor. I now have 6 sets of metallic pencils, including Prismacolor and Castle. Artist Loft is by far the best except for sharpening. The sharpening is awful. Okay. Because the experience that I had with Artist Loft regular pencils, not so great. So maybe their metallics are better. I don't know. But I did discover that Artist Loft actually sells 2 level of pencils, just like they do everything else, which is kind of crazy. But the first level is probably the level that I tried, and then they actually have a artist level, which is a level up, which may not be the ones that I tried. But what I do know is that I bought the 72 count set, and something else I don't like is that those products are extremely high priced, of course, because they're Michaels, for what they are, when there are so many great color pencil products on the market, including those with professional brand names on it, that are as much or sometimes even less than what Artist Loft is selling their products for. But that's just been my experience. Um, have fun in my vacation. Oh, you're welcome, Goldie. Thank you so much. All right, so that looks like that brings us to the end of our checklist. It has been my pleasure, friends. I know we've been on live today for over 3 hours, but I told you from the beginning it would be a long one simply because of the type of content that we were covering. Now, it is my hope that if you have been here live, or that if you're watching this video in syndication, which is replay, that you have found, saw, heard, or picked up on some information that you like, find helpful, or that you may be even willing to share with somebody else in some shape, form, or fashion. If you did, do me a favor, my friends. Help out the channel, help out the algorithm, and just help this art community grow. Please start hitting that like button. Please. It's so funny because sometimes I think asking people to hit the like button makes them feel defiant, and now they don't want to do it. Um, Now, of course, I always tell you, if you're new here to the channel or you're returning and you haven't subscribed, do consider hitting the subscription button and notification bell so that you'll know when we upload and go live. Although I understand that a lot of people don't like to do that because it will, may cover their home page with stuff that they don't want to see. At least that's what I've heard a lot of people tell me. However, liking a video doesn't. Liking a video doesn't cost a thing. Just like watching the video didn't cost you a thing. So if you watched it for free, why can't you like it for free? I've never understood that. I've never ever understood that. But definitely consider sprinkling a little love, regardless of whether you're live or not. Hit the like button, give it a thumbs up if you choose to share. I know there are some of you out there that literally share every single video that I do. And to you, you know exactly who you are from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. It's because of those shared videos that we're over 2,000, almost up to 2,500 subscribers at this point in the Defiant Art community. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I've already talked about subscribing and hitting the notification bell so that you know when we upload, when we go live. Check the video description for all of the relevant links. That's going to give you the link to Paint's Pen. No. It's going to give you the Defiant Art website link. It's going to give you the Palm Street link. It's going to give you the fan base link. It's going to give you the Patreon link. It's going to give you the most recommended product link. Is going to give you the artist wish list link in case you decide to support the channel. So yeah, you find all the goodies in the video description, and if all of that isn't there, it will be soon after this live is completely up and edited. Use the comment section, my friends, if you're watching in replay, to let me know what you think. Have you used any of the branded sketchbooks that you saw in this video? What was your experience with those sketchbooks, and what was your experience with the paper? Do you like them? Don't you like them? Let me know. We would all like for you to share. Thank you so very much, my friends. I enjoyed you being here. Remember that I artsy love you. And as I tell you at the end of every single video, just keep creating.